Welcome back to episode 171 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. My name is Josh. I'm here with Troy on Troy's last show.
Yep.
For a week. We're not going to do like the YouTuber clickbait thing where Troy quits the Gong Show. You are going on a trip.
I'm going on a trip.
You're going to miss a couple of shows.
Yep.
Very sad. All your fans are gasping right now. They can't believe it. There's shock. Probably some anger. But you will return. No big deal. So then the question was, well, what does Josh do when Troy is gone? When I was on vacation in Mexico, you decided to go solo.
Yep.
It worked out great. You did an awesome job. So then I thought, well, should I go solo? And that terrified me. Definitely decided against that. We're going to have a couple of guest co-hosts coming up. For Monday's show, very excited to have former President Barack Obama. Huge hockey collector. No, I'm just kidding. Someone just as good. The Loud Collector, our good friend Phil, is going to fill in for you on Monday.
Yep.
And then on Thursday's show, Jeremy Lee.
Yep.
We know, the Oracle, we like to
the
call
Oracle.
him. Will be co-hosting the Gong Show, and then you'll be back the following Monday.
Yep.
So you're going to skip episode 172 and 173, and you're going to go right to 174.
Yep.
And then we're going to hear all about your exciting adventures when you get back.
True.
Now, Troy being gone for 2 shows, you would think is huge. The biggest news we could have. We have a very emotional button bar update. You want to fill the audience in, Troy?
Yeah, we got it. We got the button bar. I'm going to show it. There it is. It's not set up or anything. I figured I didn't have enough time to learn it that quickly. There it is. So button bar is here. When I get back, I will set it all up, and we should be good to go. I forgot my bell. My bells are in the closet, so I can't sit there and ding it during Bedard when we say Bedard, but whatever.
Yeah. Now we'll all get to hear me complaining for 6 months that you haven't set up the button bar. So everybody look forward to that. Before we do get started, just a very quick reminder that the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a Patreon podcast. What does that mean? Well, it means we rely on support of listeners like yourself to help us cover our show expenses, produce more and hopefully better hockey card content, and fund initiatives, even in a small way, to grow the hockey hobby. One of our small initiatives was we created Connor Bedard as a way to grow the hockey hobby. So thank you very much. Or you're welcome, I should say. Right? It's very easy to support us. You can do it through Patreon and join our $1.99 support level tier. It starts at $5 a month. You get exclusive access to our Discord server and chat with us every day there. You can go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, click on the Become a Patron link, or if you want, just go to Patreon's website directly, patreon.com, and search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. There's a link in the show description and the podcast apps you're listening to us on, or in our YouTube description as well. And then there's a link in our Instagram and TikTok profiles too. Since our last show, Troy, one of our good friends and supporters, Blade Visionary, upgraded to triple gold.
Awesome.
We have another triple gold member. Very, very appreciative of you, Blade, and thank you so much for your support.
Definitely.
Okay, Troy, very sad. It's your last game plan for a couple of shows. I'm just going to sit back and soak it in.
Soak it in. Yeah. On today's episode, we begin with the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 71. Then it's off to our next installment of Rookie Deep Dive. This is followed by Hobby News. Then we talk to Karn Rai of Slab Sharks and discuss various topics in the hockey card hobby, especially his thoughts on Bedardapalooza. And then we also get into some updates that are happening with him and Slab Sharks that are very exciting. Then it's off to new product releases, followed by our weekly look at some of our favorite hockey cards in the current PWCC Weekly Auction. We end the show with any personal pickups. Okay, Josh. Previously, we looked at the greatest NHL player that wore the number that matched our episode number. We ran through all the numbers, so now we are looking at the almost greatest NHL player to wear each number from the runners-up in the Hockey Writers' Greatest NHL Player to Wear Each Number article. Josh, the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 71 per the nominees in the Hockey Writers' Greatest NHL Player to Wear Each Number article, and selected by me, is this guy, Nick Foligno. I know we both know him. We know his brother. Exciting. Yep. Very exciting.
But I know his brother's nickname is Moose, so I can't wait to see what Nick's nickname. That's
yes, he's got some. I'll just give you a hint. There's a lot of them.
All
Okay.
right.
There were no other runners up at number 71. As a reminder, the greatest to wear number 71 was Gino Malkin, because I get nervous saying his first name, even though Evgeny. I can't say it. Evgeny. I always get tied up. A lot of consonants in there. All right. Overview for our boy, Nick Foligno. Josh, he's a forward from Buffalo, New York, in the good old United States of America. Foligno was the 28th overall selection in the 2006 NHL entry draft by your upcoming co-host's favorite team, Phil's, the Ottawa Senators.
Mm-hmm.
Foligno has played in 1,142 regular season NHL games over a current 17-season NHL career. Foligno began his career with 5 seasons with the Ottawa Senators. He then played 8.5 seasons with the Columbus Blue Jackets. He then had stints with Toronto and Boston. Currently, this NHL season, Nick Foligno is playing for the Chicago Blackhawks. We'll get into that a little more with our favorite.
Do you know?
boy.
I actually don't know this. Is he older or younger than Marcus?
He's older, I think. Yeah, he's older.
That's what I would have guessed.
Yep, Marcus is his younger brother. For his awards and accomplishments, he's a one-time King Clancy Award Memorial Trophy winner in 2017. I had to look this one up again because I forget about it. It is the award given to the player who best exemplifies leadership qualities on and off the ice and who has made a significant humanitarian contribution to his community. He's also our favorite award, a one-time Mark Messier Leadership Award winner in 2017, where Messier just votes for who he likes the best out of all these guys. But it's supposed to be an award that recognizes an individual as a superior leader within their sport and as a contributing member of society. Very, very big award there. Also, one-time NHL All-Star Game selection. Okay. For his regular season, Josh, Nick Foligno has 230 goals, 328 assists for 558 points. Foligno has made the playoff in 11 of his previous 16 NHL seasons, because we're not counting this year, because obviously with the Blackhawks, compiling 10 goals, 17 assists for 27 points in 68 NHL playoff games played. Best season of his NHL career from a point standpoint was his 2014-15 season, where Foligno had 31 goals, 42 assists for 73 points in 79 games played with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Foligno has had a very long and solid career in the NHL. He has had 8 seasons of 30-plus points. He's also not afraid to play a physical game, mix it up, drop the gloves if he's needed to. Although he has suffered some injuries that have taken him out of action. He suffered a broken leg from blocking a shot, and he's also gotten a broken finger from a fight that he had, which led him to missing playing time. Yeah, it's always bad when they get in a fight and then break something. That's no good. This season with the Blackhawks, Foligno has been a solid veteran presence on the team. And Josh, he has developed a strong bond with Wonder Kid Connor Bedard. So they thought Corey Perry was going to be that veteran leadership. Nah, it's Nick Foligno. Nope, Nick Foligno's taking on that role. As we stated, currently Nick Foligno is still playing in the NHL with the Chicago Blackhawks. On the current NHL season, Foligno has 15 goals, 18 assists for 33 points in 61 games played. He also signed a 2-year extension with Chicago that runs through the 25-26 season. So he is probably going to get to a 20-year career or 20-season career, which is pretty impressive. All right, Josh, you were waiting for it. His nicknames. So for fun, interesting facts, he has a bunch of them. Boy, I didn't know why this was a nickname or what. Fligs, F-L-I-G-S. It's play off of Foligno, I'm guessing. Fliggy. Yeah. Uncle Nick for his leadership roles. Now that he's older.
Sure.
He's Uncle Nick. Also Nicky, Gino. And then the last one, I couldn't find why. He's called Gargamel.
I wonder how many people still get Smurfs references.
Well, I wonder. Do you think it's because he looks like Gargamel a little bit?
He kind of does.
I think that's why.
I was looking ahead to the nicknames, and it amazes me how often we're on the same wavelength, because I was thinking that exact same thing.
Yeah, that's probably the reason why. Okay, next fun fact. Foligno wore jersey number 71 until he played for the Boston Bruins. 71 was an inversion of the number 17 that his father wore for most of his NHL career. Although his dad, Mike Foligno, did wear 71 while playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs. However, as fellow Bruins left winger Taylor Hall had already been wearing number 71 as a Bruins player when Foligno joined the team, he chose to wear number 17 as his father did as an NHL player. So that's why he's currently 17.
Gotcha. He figured he's got the almost greatest 71 down. So he might start working
going
on
after 17.
Because he's not going to beat Malkin, right?
No.
So if you can't be the greatest player to wear 71, maybe you're the almost greatest player to wear 17 and 71.
There you go.
That's kind of okay.
Yeah.
Good,
Definitely. Foligno played his 1,000th NHL game on March 15th, 2022. He and his father, Mike Foligno, joined Bobby Hall and Brett Hall as the only father-son duos to each have played 1,000 regular season NHL games. There you go.
I wonder how many Marcus has now.
I looked it up. He's getting close. It's not 1,000, but I want to say it's in that 800, 900 range, if I remember right. I can't remember exactly, but I thought
assuming he gets there, that's got it. There can't be too many father, son combos.
No, I don't think so. Just even relatives playing 1,000 is pretty crazy. Foligno scored his first career NHL goal and point on October 18th, 2007. When he scored the goal, I should have got a picture of this. He performed his father's, Mike Foligno's, noted goal celebration, the Foligno Leap. And there's video of it. And a Foligno Leap is basically, he literally gets down. It's kind of like Dustin Wolf. He's skating. He bends down. He just jumps up and pumps his fist in the air. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then, as we've alluded to, his brother Marcus Foligno currently plays in the NHL with our Minnesota Wild.
Marcus has a way better nickname. Moose is a pretty good hockey nickname.
Yeah.
It's definitely better than Fligs. Not a big fan of it.
Well, the Moose is cool too because they sell shirts at the team store that have the Moose and everything. And I think they did one of the We Love Our We Are Wild commercial. It's not weird.
It's not weird. It's wild.
They do
he's
one
coming out of
moose.
a lake.
Yeah.
And he's got the stick and then like jerseys hanging from it, right, or whatever. And he's coming out of the water. That was pretty amazing.
It's really good. All right. Nick Foligno's rookie card. If you're watching on YouTube, it's up on the screen. 2007 Upper Deck number 238 Young Guns. PSA 10 pop is 4 with a gem rate of 31%. Last sale I could find was on January 28th of 2023 via eBay, verified in Terapeak for $103.51 US. The BGS 9.5 copy of this card is a pop of 8. There's also one BGS 10 out there. Total graded BGS graded copies of this card is 18. Last sale of the BGS 9.5 I could find was on November 29th of 2023 for $36.77 US via eBay and verified in Terapeak. So there we go.
PSA 10 pop 4?
PSA 10 pop 4.
I feel like Bedard's PSA 10 pop was 4 at about 8:37 a.m.
Yeah, like 30 minutes after it came out. Yeah, no kidding.
That's amazing. There you go. Well, we've heard of this guy. So, Troy, we're moving in the right direction. Very excited about that. We're going to transition to Rookie Deep Dive. You'll probably forget this, Troy, with how long you're going to be gone, but I'll reiterate it for you again. Rookie Deep Dive is where we take an in-depth look at the key rookies in our current flagship releases. You know, the other like young guns that are not named Connor Bedard.
Yep.
Those guys.
The other guys.
So here's how it works. Troy and I pick 4 candidates. Then we do an Instagram poll and let you guys vote on who is the deep dive subject. I'm actually not sure if we'll do any more because we're kind of getting into slim pickings territory before extended series comes out. But maybe one more week, maybe not. We'll have to see how the mood strikes, I guess. Before we get into this week's candidates, though, like we always do, let's do a quick review of the players we've covered up to this point. I'll throw it up on there for our YouTube. Kind of just go through the Series 2 guys at this point. So we've done Matthew Poitras, Pavel Minchukov, Luke Evangelista, Leo Carlson, and Zach Benson. That means this week's candidates that we threw up on our Instagram poll were Kevin Korchinski, Connor Rai, Tyson Forster, and Bobby McMann. Pretty close vote this time, Troy, too.
Yeah.
With a slim 31%, not even a third of the vote. Bobby McMann is this week's rookie deep dive from Troy's Toronto Maple Leafs.
You couldn't even work ahead because you had to wait for this result.
I know.
To come in. You're going to
frustrated.
work ahead and you couldn't because you had to wait for the actual
I love it
results
when
on
it's
this.
like 12 hours in and somebody has like 72% of the vote. It's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll start working on my rookie deep dive. I knew nothing about Bobby McMann. Did you?
No, I did not.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about this too, because he's come out and you say, oh, this is like selling for $10 or $12 or $20. And like Zach Benson last week was $20. And so I think it's good for us all to kind of get to know these guys and figure out if it's maybe a card that whether we want to buy in the secondary market or if we pull in a pack, whether it's something we maybe sell right away or sock away and keep it for a while. Pretty big indicator right out of the gate, Troy. Bobby McMann is a 27-year-old rookie for your Toronto Maple Leafs.
There you go.
Good size, 6'2", 208 pounds, center from Wainwright, Alberta, Canada. We're getting kind of used to seeing like 18-year-old phenoms that go right from mom and dad's house to the NHL. So certainly not the case for Bobby McMann at 27 years young. He's had much more of like, I'd call like maybe a winding road to make it to the NHL. In fact, Roy, just 5 months ago at the start of the season, he thought his NHL dream might be over when he was placed on waivers.
Yeesh.
As the Leafs came out of camp and they needed to trim down their roster. But there's a happy ending, Troy. 5 months later, fast forward to today, just signed this week or last week, one of the two, a 2-year extension with the Leafs. So,
so I'm assuming he cleared waivers and went to the Marlies.
Went to the Marlies. And we'll kind of get through that. We'll kind of go through the road to him getting to this point. First thing you got to mention, though, and this is kind of wild, we don't encounter this a lot on Rookie Deep Dive. McMann Troy was not only drafted in the NHL, was never drafted.
Yep.
He wasn't even drafted in the WHL either.
Wow.
So while many of his peers were playing in the WHL and getting exposed to NHL scouts, McMann was still playing in, I guess in Canada, it's under 18 AAA hockey, so it's a step lower from that. Not exactly the most direct path to the NHL.
Yeah, we need to do a deep dive on all these Canadian league, junior leagues and everything. And then the U.S. is getting kind of nuts too with all the different junior leagues. It's almost getting out of hand.
It's all money grabs, right?
Yeah.
Like, play in this like 17th low division.
Top tier elite AAA.
So the team is playing on, the under 18 AAA team in Canada was the Bonnyville Pontiacs, which because it's on one of your favorite teams, Troy. You talk about them all the time. In fact, he was named the league MVP in 2015-16 when he had 36 goals, 32 assists for 68 points in 47 games played. This is actually your picture, I think, from that ceremony when you were there. We didn't even have to go to the internet.
So Bonnyville, is that the city? And then the Pontiacs must be, because I'm thinking of a Pontiac car. Didn't they have a car called the Bonneville?
Bonneville, yeah, but this is Bonnyville.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, gotcha.
So Bonneville is Bonneville and Bonny, like bunny, but bunny.
And I really dated myself because I don't even think Pontiacs are around unless they're used now.
No, they've been around for like 15 years, I don't think, or more. Wouldn't it be epic if Bonnyville was Bunnyville? He would have stayed there for life, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Now, that didn't even get him to the CHL, but his play in the Alberta Junior Hockey League, which I think the league that Bonnyville's in, did earn him an offer to continue his hockey career. He took his talents, Troy, to Colgate University, where he played there for 4 seasons. You don't see that much anymore with NHL players either. And by the time his junior year, he was the Colgate Raiders alternate captain, and then he served as team captain his senior year when he produced 10 goals, 10 assists for 20 points and 30 games played. So now we're kind of up to like 2019, 2020.
Love these jerseys. Like, I love two color kits or whatever you want to call them, jerseys.
Ooh, kits.
Uniforms. That's a soccer term. I guess I'm getting it all into the soccer mood, but I love 2 colors, like Toronto, Minnetonka, There, put them in the same caliber, all the two colors.
Don't you dare say hockey pants.
Yeah,
Stop the
breezers,
show.
breezers.
So, out of college, Troy, he signed a 2-year deal with the Toronto Marlies in the AHL. And McMann actually kind of wasn't super hot out of the gate. He ended up splitting his first year with the Marlies with the lower league, the ECHL's Wichita Thunder. Right. So his path to the NHL is pretty tenuous at this point. That was also the 2020-21 season, which was all goofed up by COVID, greatly impacted the NHL and really messed up the minor leagues, of course. So that probably didn't help. And he was 25 years old at the time. So again, pretty old for a prospect. Bobby stayed with the Marlies in 2021-22 and had a really good season. He set the rookie goals record with 24 goals. And that year he was rewarded by the Maple Leafs, who signed him to a 2-year entry-level contract. The following year, which would have been last season, McMann started again in the AHL. And after being named AHL Player of the Week by early January, he was called up to the Leafs. And then I think at that point, Austin Matthews got hurt, which got him into the lineup. And he made his debut that month against the Nashville Predators. So here's something crazy. And this ties in, Troy, to our greatest player to wear each number.
Nice.
You got to tell me if this surprised the heck out of me. Bobby McMann is the first player in Maple Leafs history to wear the number 74.
I don't think so, because this goes back to my
last week, what you're saying, right?
Yeah, the higher numbers are a recent phenomenon, and I'm guessing the Leafs, I don't know how they ran. Well, look, they wouldn't even retire jerseys before a couple of years, or whenever that came out. It was recently, within the last decade, where they finally started retiring jerseys. So I'm guessing they weren't too keen before then on letting people wear super high numbers.
So if we did a greatest Leafs player to wear each number, that would automatically make Bobby McMann the greatest Toronto Maple Leaf to ever wear the number 74. That's pretty exciting. So last year he ended up playing 10 games with the Leafs, registered 1 lone assist. I think he got hurt towards the end of last year, had nagging injuries throughout the summer, and then came into training camp this year a little bit banged up, which isn't helpful when you're trying to establish yourself in the league and make the team, and ended up getting put on waivers right before the start of the season, before Toronto, or at the time Toronto had to cut down their roster and get everything settled for the start of the regular season. He cleared waivers, was reassigned back to the Marlies, only spent 6 games there though, Troy, before being recalled back to the Maple Leafs, and he's been with the team now for the rest of the year. To date, he's got 10 goals, 8 assists for 18 points in 43 games played. Here's what's kind of impressive about his 10 goals, though. He's only averaging 10 minutes, 34 seconds time on ice this year. So it seems like he's making the most of his opportunity. Yeah. The Leafs definitely feel like he's blossoming into a solid NHL player. And this past Wednesday, the team announced they signed him to a 2-year extension. Here's a quote from Leafs head coach Sheldon Keefe about McMann. He said, while there is a change with the actual personnel on forward as of late, we do have a little bit of a change in the sense that you've got the emergence of someone like Bobby McMann and how he's blossoming and giving us additional options. So it sounds like the team's pretty high and on his play this year, and sees him as a solid contributor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it takes a genius to come to the conclusion that I don't think Bobby McMann is going to be on the Jack Hughes trajectory anytime soon. It's like you just talked about, like Nick Foligno, Marcus Foligno, right? It's maybe a little bit appropriate where I'm not saying their play styles are even similar, but I'm just talking about kind of like a level of career or where they're in the hobby. And well, he's so old at this point, 27, that bottom line is he's probably more of like a PC guy. He's not I want to be spending $40 on a raw Young Guns for Bobby McMann, but he does have a chase. He's on one of the most popular teams, of course, in the NHL and in the hobby. And I really love stories like this, because it's like his whole career is 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 step forwards, one step back. And so, it definitely was not given to him.
Nope. You root for a guy like this.
100%. Bobby McMann is a 2023-24 Series 2 Young Guns, number 479. Last raw sale was March 20th for $10 US. Biggest sale to date is a high gloss out of 10 that sold for $400 US on March 17th. So there you go.
There you go.
Bobby McMann, rookie deep dive. Happy news!
Happy news.
Well, Troy, very exciting. Look forward to this every show now. What's the second time we're doing it? We got to give an update on, of course, the road to infinity, where we do a quick check-in and track Connor Bedard base Young Gun PSA 10 pop count as we anticipate it heads towards unprecedented totals. So remember last show, Troy, it jumped from 40 PSA 10 pop 45 to 86.
Hold on. I'm interrupting. Where's the overlay?
It's coming.
Oh, I thought you were doing it at the beginning. There it is. Oh, I didn't know. I forgot you had the number on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm good.
Yeah, we're 4 days later. So if you're watching on YouTube, I spend way too much time doing stupid overlay every show. But Troy, we're now at 106 PSA 10 base Young Guns for our guy Bedsy.
Last show 86, right? I interrupted you when you were saying that. Last show was 86 PSA 10s.
Yep. So it's 22 in what, 4 days? 3 days?
Yeah.
When was the last? I don't even know. The gem rate's creeping up to 57%. So it's 106 PSA 10s out of 186 graded. That's your road to infinity. Now, you're going to be gone, but do you have a prediction what it'll be at by Monday?
I'm going to say... I'm going to go high. I'm going to go 140.
Yeah. Well, you know when it's really going to take off is when like the value submissions start to come through.
Mm-hmm.
Because these have still got to be like
you're
the
right.
upcharges and the premiums.
Yeah.
But, all right, there you go, Troy. Your road to infinity update. Time for another new segment, though, Troy. Very excited about this one. Neil, Irish Fires Collector, one of the co-hosts, former co-host of our show when you missed an episode. What about a year or so ago? You might want to turn down the volume, Neil, for like 2-3 minutes. So we have a new episode, Troy. It's called Torts, or segment. Torts being Torts.
Torts being Torts.
You like that?
I like it.
So you know how like the Netflix F1 racing like docu-series has really propelled that sport and like it actually propelled the hobby probably too, right? Made the cards real popular. Then there's like a PGA spinoff that's been pretty successful too. I have a brilliant idea. What if the NHL just put a camera in the room with Torts and hit record for an entire year and made a complete docu-series called Torts Being Torts, which is copyrighted by the Hockey Cards Gongshow and Dollar Box Ventures LLC, so they'd have to pay us a royalty. But, you know, we can settle on something high 6 figures, low 7 figures. Not a big deal. Wouldn't that not be just the most amazing thing?
Oh, it'd be fantastic. But then he'd probably break the camera at some point and become too cost prohibitive buying new cameras.
He's like a total unicorn when it comes to personality. There's like, you can't think of really anyone like him. All right, so here we go. Torts being Torts. In his latest, insert your own adjective, I'll say unique, way to motivate and manage his players, Troy, on Tuesday it was announced that newly named captain Sean Couturier would be a healthy scratch for their game that night versus Troy's Toronto Maple Leafs. I think the Flyers went up winning like 4-3, something like that. It was the very first ever healthy scratch for the 31-year-old, 13-year NHL veteran Couturier. And what's kind of notable about the season for Couturier is it's his return to play after missing almost 2 years due to his back injuries and surgeries and all that stuff. So he had really a long road back to playing. In 64 games played this year, he has 11 goals, 25 assists for 36 points. Has not played super well, especially as of late. He's got 4 points in his last 15 games played and only 1 goal in his last 27 games played. After hearing he would be sitting in the Shane Wright Memorial press box, Coots was not super happy with the decision. A little bit of shots fired back at Torts here, Troy. You tell me. Here's what Coots had to say. I've been putting the work in for a while. said Couturier, who has 11 goals and 36 points on the season. I've been struggling, but I've been working on my game, and it's frustrating the way I've been treated around here lately. But it is what it is. I can control what I can control. I'm going to move on. It doesn't matter what I think. I've got to leave my ego aside. Hopefully, I can get back into the lineup soon. When Torts was asked about it after their game against the Leafs last night, he really did not want any part of the discussion. He basically said, as I told you, I'm putting the players out on the ice to win a particular game. These are the 20 that we decided to go with. You're a hockey coach, Troy. You played the game for a long time. You got a guy who just came back after, maybe his career being in jeopardy. Well, definitely probably his career being in jeopardy. Played well enough where they, 3.5 weeks ago, named him the captain of the team. And then now you healthy scratch him. Is this a brilliant Torts move that will motivate his team? Or is this another instance of him going off the rails?
I will say this. There's actually an added wrinkle, too, because now, I think it was either today or yesterday, the agent came out and said there's been a complete lack of communication between the team and him and Couturier. So there's that added wrinkle, and that's what you get with the NHL. The agents always have to get involved.
Yeah,
man, I don't know what to think of this. You hope when stuff like this happens. Obviously, I've never coached in the NHL, but you hope when this stuff happens, the player takes the message, lives with it, works to get better. Get mad at the coach. That's fine. Get mad. Work on getting better. Prove that he's wrong. But then you have the quotes come out, and it's like, oh, I don't think that's what Philly fans wanted. You don't want them mad and ticked off at the coach the whole time. Torts has a unique way to motivate people. At times, I think he's brilliant. Other times, I think he can be a jerk. That's how he is. That's his personality. And guess what? He doesn't care. He does what he thinks is the best way to motivate these guys. Maybe, they won the game, so maybe that helped a little bit, but we'll see how Couturier reacts. Right now, it's not good.
Mm-hmm. You think that could divide the locker room kind of thing?
I don't know. It could. I mean, it definitely has. It could if the team loves him. He's a great captain. All of a sudden, he's the one complaining about this stuff. He's getting scratched. Then you might have some issues.
We'll see what happens. But again, Torts being Torts.
Yeah.
Not really shocked there. Okay, I got one more story in hobby news that I'm really.
Young Guns.
Yeah.
Coots. We got to show us Young Guns.
I'm excited about the next story. Sean Couturier is a 2011 Young Guns PSA 10 pop 79, less than Connor Bedard. 48% gem rate, last sold for 81 US on February 24th. It is down 28% in the past 3 months. Cool. Okay, Neil, you can listen again, buddy. Now, finally, we're going to go. I was excited to get to a story about the hobby doing good.
Yep.
And it happens to involve one of our partners, My Card Post, which makes me even more happy. Very proud to be associated with them today, Troy. Not going to get into all the details due to privacy stuff, but here's kind of generally what happened. First I want to say is that one of the big things about the My Card Post platform that you probably know if you use it, maybe you're not yet aware of it if you haven't tried it out yet, is that it's not just buying, selling, and trading. There's a big community aspect to it.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime you hear community, that's a very fluffy and abstract kind of way to put it. And it's yeah, whatever, right? It's something that everyone aspires to, but not a lot of actually platforms or companies work towards. But Mark and his team they've actually engineered a ton of functionality around community. And that's a big part of My Card Post is not restricting communication, not restricting relationships. Like eBay never wants you to talk to anybody outside of eBay. My Card Post is make friends, talk anywhere, do the deal in person, do it on Instagram, wherever, we're here to facilitate connecting hobbyists together. So in that vein, a member of My Card Post kind of shared, I guess, something about the most horrible thing for any parent, their child going through a pretty serious illness. And as a result, and I think they're in the Boston area, the people within My Card Post contacted MCP. Mark helped facilitate some awareness around this, and a bunch of people donated money and stuff so that this kid could go to a Bruins game, sit behind the bench, got a brand new jersey, and it's just awesome.
Yeah.
There's lots of complaining that we all do. There's lots of people that maybe have negative thoughts about the hobby. But to me, it's just a great reminder of not only one of our partners working hard to do good for people, but that the hobby is full of many kind and wonderful people that really gave a young kid a fun time and a good night who probably sorely needed one. And just very happy to share that. And so I want to say kudos to Mark and my card post, to everyone there in the community that donated. That's pretty awesome.
Yep.
And hopefully we see just more and more of this all throughout the hobby.
Yep.
Okay. So we had the chance yesterday to chat with Karn Rai, and was very excited to talk to him because, as it's pretty evident when you, and we've talked a lot about on the show, when you go
Yeah.
on their site, their auctions, because of their insane incentive around Connor Bedard cards, where they're offering a 98% payout rate through June. Probably nobody has sold more cards than Karn and his, or Bedard cards, than Karn and his team at Slab Sharks. So I think that that gives him a very unique perspective on the whole Bedardapalooza that we've been tracking, and especially from like the secondary market perspective. Karn is also a longtime collector. He's a collector of very high end hockey cards, and so it's very interesting, Troy, to hear him talk about kind of that angle. And like I said, we were happy that he was willing to join the show. So without further ado, here is our conversation with Slab Sharks Karn Rai. We want to welcome back to the show a co-founder of Slab Sharks eBay Consignment Services, a sponsor of the Gong Show, and friend, I think, that we've developed over the last couple of years, Karn Rai. How's it going, Karn? Welcome back.
Yeah, going good, going good. Just still a little hungover from Bedard mania. I don't even know. It's like a hair of the dog. I gotta keep drinking every day the Bedard juice.
Okay, do you know if you guys have sold more Connor Bedard cards than any other service out there? I would imagine that has to be the case, right?
Yeah, I think I don't have the quantifiable data, but I think 100%. I'm pretty confident that we've sold more Bedard cards than anyone in the world. We've been doing it all season, and it started off with pre NHL cards. So we've been in pretty hard with Bedard.
And a big part of that, of course, well, I mean, I think there's a couple reasons why. Number one, you guys have a great service. You make it very easy for people to sell their cards. And then secondly, you've had a pretty phenomenal, uh, that we've talked about a lot, promo where you're offering 98% payout rates on any Bedard card that I think sells for over $50. And that runs through the 1st of June of this year. So describe what the last couple of weeks have been like.
Yeah, so that promo is actually for every Bedard card, even under $50 as well.
Oh, really?
There's just that extra $3 charge just for processing fees under 50. But yeah, that's just an added tidbit. But the last couple of weeks have been crazy. It's been wild, from just us breaking boxes ourselves to find some cool cards to getting new services in line with Slab Sharks, so people could drop off cards on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and get those cards up on the same week's auction. A lot of special things that we've done just for the Bedard release that's kind of away from our standard process, but that's why we're getting those big cards. We're doing a lot of favors for people, bringing them in quickly. Usually our cutoff is Tuesday to get a card into that same week's auction, but people were rushing in, driving to our office on Thursday at 7 p.m. and we were getting them up for 7:30. So it's been quite a whirlwind for sure.
If you think back to like a year or so ago, when we knew that this was coming, but we didn't really, I don't think, maybe understood exactly what the scale or scope of it would be. How does the actuality of Bedardapalooza compare to maybe what you thought it would have been like a year ago?
To be honest, I was quite prepared. I honestly thought it was going to be something like this because it was there. I feel like hockey didn't have anyone of this caliber come into the NHL during our, new phase of the card market, right? So, basketball started off with Zion. There was a little bit of Luka on the tail end of his, rookie season. And you have, Wemby coming in. You had, F1 cards and, all these like big things. Well, hockey, we had like, Jack Hughes and a little bit of Cale Makar, but those are, more nice surprises than, a phenom coming into the league. And the last time it happened was Connor McDavid, even Austin Matthews. It was pretty hot regionally, but it wasn't as hot, worldwide or anything like North American wide. And that McDavid was in 2015. So for me, it was okay. If 2015 went crazy in the situation where McDavid Young Guns were selling for, $300, $400, $500, and the market has at least 3x since then, I felt Bedard was going to be crazy off the bat, and we were going to see $1,500 sales for his base Young Guns, and we did. So we were pretty prepared with it, and we had a strategic kind of plan since the beginning of the season that we were kind of building up our business around this release, and I'm glad we did, because it truly paid off in a marketing sense, and that promo rate just gets people into our ecosystem, and they learn about us, and they understand kind of how easy our service is, and hopefully they use us for other cards, because we definitely lose money on every Bedard. So
well, I'm trying to make that comments too. It's like, I know a little bit about marketing and sales, and especially like e-commerce and stuff like that. And I know what credit card processing fees are. And I know that in every case, they're more than 2%. So we kind of figured as much there, that's a pretty clear indicator of just how good of a deal that you guys are giving people. And you said something kind of interesting that is maybe helpful to me in a little bit of one of the key questions that I've been trying to figure out. And so you mentioned that, sort of like where the hobby has leading up to the pandemic and through the pandemic, where we've had these hyped rookies come in that the sports card world in general has kind of made events around and really promoted themselves around. And this is the first really true opportunity for the hockey hobby to do that. And so when you look at Connor Bedard specifically, how good is he, or how much is it circumstantial to what you've kind of been talking about too, right? I mean, did you think in your mind, does he have a chance to be on the level of Sid and Ovi and McDavid and in that upper pantheon of legendary players?
Yeah, I think I'll answer that question in two different mindsets. One is the mindset of the hobby, and one is the mindset of an NHLer. And the mindset of the hobby, for me, it was, as long as this kid has close to or a point per game, this release is going to be incredible, right? Because we haven't really had a crazy media driven rookie like this come into the league. You had a little bit with Lafreniere, but he didn't really, succeed in his first year. And for me, if Bedard came out in his first 60 games and he had 20 points, you were going to see, kind of a hyped release, but not as hot as it was. But Bedard did something pretty big for the hobby twice. The release was supposed to happen typically during the expo, the first expo, when everyone's in the hockey world is together at the expo. Bedard goes and puts up 2 goals in back-to-back games. I believe. I think he had 4 goals in those two games during expo weekend. So that hype and buzz started at the expo. And then during the week of this release, he goes on a heater as well, comes back from his injury. Yep. He's kind of playing into, it's almost like he's watching the Upper Deck releases, and he's playing big when he needs to play. So, not surprised. He's played well enough to have that hype. Now on the hockey side of things, I think he's a great player. He's a great shot. He's shifty. He's got a lot of skill. Don't see him the same as Sidney Crosby. Now, how much is that because of, the talent around him in Chicago? Like, you can see that, negative 37 plus minus.
Yeah, I brought that up the other day. I was like, whoa.
That's a team stat, in my opinion. It's tough for a single individual player to have an effect on the game so much where, he's going to be a positive while the rest of his team is a negative. That's a team stat. And I think that shows me how much he's doing actually without any teammates that are, superstars or skilled players. You wanted, Taylor Hall to come in and produce with him. That didn't work out. Then there's, maybe Corey Perry could help him out. That didn't work out. So there's a lot of, weird circumstances for him. But look, he's still putting up the numbers. He's got, the Michigan goal. He's had highlight moments this year. He had a 5-point game. So he's doing a lot of right things that you've seen those generational talents do in their first year in the league. So in that sense, I put him up there in the top echelon of, rookies that have ever played in the last, 30, 40 years. However, I don't know. It's hard to compare to a Sidney Crosby that put up 102 points or a Alex Ovechkin that scored 50 plus goals, or, even an Austin Matthews that, Austin Matthews didn't have as many points, but, he had those moments just like Connor Bedard did. I would probably put him in that, Austin Matthews range right now. And I think he needs to put up 100 points or above next year to truly keep up with that Crosby type of player. And McDavid, for me, he's light years just the best player, hockey player, skill wise. Now, is Crosby better defensively, overall game, 3 cups, all that? Yes, I agree. But man, Connor McDavid, when you watch him play, is just different. And I don't see that difference with Bedard in terms of that, you watch and he's light years better than everyone. McDavid, you saw that very early. Crosby, you saw that with his 2-way game. Ovechkin, he was a little bit more, speedy when he was younger. But that being said, I still think top 5, top 10 rookie in the last 30, 40 years for sure. And I think that's guaranteed, I think.
It seems like that if you wanted to maybe have a somewhat objective concern, it wowould be probably the speed thing, right? Where you look at like McDavid and McKinnon are out of this world fast. And it does not that Bedard can't work on that maybe a little bit and get faster, but it may not just be in the cards for him. So he would probably have to find his own way to compensate for that or excel in other areas to probably reach that tier.
And it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird because he's like a smaller player. He's got big legs, and he's like he's not slow, but he's not super fast. It's kind of like it almost doesn't make sense in my mind of why that is. But he finds a way, man. He's got a crazy shot, and he has what sets him apart from everyone else is that hockey IQ, right? He's got crazy ability that only the special talents do, and that kind of sets you apart. He's not John Tavares slow, right? And that's kind of what hurt John Tavares a little bit. He was a phenom in juniors, and he wasn't fast enough, and he was pretty slow, but he had that hockey IQ, and he's relied on that hockey IQ his whole career. But I think Bedard's good enough to be a superstar caliber player.
So you weren't surprised with the hype, given all the hype that has been the last 2 years, really, probably 2 years plus at this point. What about the secondary market values that we've seen these first couple weeks? It's been up there. It's a little hard to gauge, like the Outburst Red that I think sold for like 17,900 US, so it's 24,200 Canadian. Equivalents with you guys was the only one. You got another one for auction this week, but the ones that really kind of stood out to me are the cards that we have more context and more history to compare to. So you had his first Young Guns PSA 10 that's over 5,000 US, which is just crazy. And then I think the first clear cut that there's been a couple that have sold now was the highest selling clear cut card graded or raw ever. Now it doesn't have that doesn't have a 20-year history, but it did start in 2016-17. So there are Austin Matthews clear cuts out there. Have these secondary market values surprised you at all?
See, look, if I was just in hockey cards, it would surprise me, but this stuff happens in other sports all the time, right? Like even if in soccer, you have Haaland coming in and he's selling more than Messi cards. You have, Wemby coming in and he's selling more than 99% of other basketball players, selling almost similarly to Luka Doncic, and Luka Doncic at some point was selling more than Kobe. And these things happen. And even when Connor McDavid came out, he was selling more than Ovechkin. It was like $250 for McDavid and $100 for Ovechkin at that time. and Crosby was like 200. So now if we look back, people would probably say, if they were living in that moment, oh, well, McDavid's really great, but look at Ovechkin's career, look at Crosby's career, it's going to correct eventually. Never did. McDavid sells more than both of them till this day. He has 0 cups. Obviously he has a bunch of accolades, but he created a new, genre for himself in the hockey card market where people that don't know McDavid buy McDavid, right? And I think that's kind of what we're seeing now with Bedard as well. At the end of the day, player performance is only one metric. Demand is another one. Now, supply is another one as well. Is there a lot more Bedard cards? Sometimes we get lost in the sauce and we see everything in the first week, and we make some extrapolation that there's a lot more and it's overproduced. And guess what? That's what I heard with McDavid Young Guns as well. Tins were at Walmart for 2 years after 2015. You could literally buy a 2015 tin in 2017 at Walmart. So it was overproduced. Now look at those tins are $450 Canadian on the market to this day. So, we don't know. The answer is we don't know what's going to happen with this kid. And it is crazy as it seems. A BGS 10, Austin Matthews clear cut, just sold for like 7,000 Canadian, and a PSA 10 Bedard sold for 10,000. Do I think those are going to be sustainable? Probably not. However, I'm not going to say 100%. I'm not going to call anyone dumb for buying it or thinking that's possible, because I've seen crazier things in this hobby, and sometimes the crazy guys win.
Oh, I totally agree with you. Like, I think I've said almost for a year now that I'm no longer surprised by anything that happens related to Connor Bedard. That to some degree there is precedence, but to other degrees there isn't. Because like you had already mentioned, he's the first really big, true, hyped rookie in this sort of new era of the hobby. And so, a little bit, I think we're all just rolling with the punches. Okay, but all that being said, is there even one sale that where you've kind of maybe made your eyes go a little big and you're like, whoa, wasn't expecting
those
that.
First PSA 10 Young Guns at 8K, that's just look, anyone can do whatever they want with their money, so I'm never one to cause a stir about it. However, that's a tough one, and I'm gonna go on record to say, despite me being optimistic and positive about Bedard mania, these prices are going to stabilize, right? And it's just a matter of the supply that comes to the market. That first couple of PSA 10s, as a person in cards, you need to understand there's going to be a lot of PSA 10s coming out. Now, does that mean that PSA 10 is going to end up being $500, which I see commented a lot of places? No, I don't think that. I think it can sustain at $2,000, $2,500, maybe even $3,500. It could go a little bit more than McDavid. I probably guess a little less, but it's possible. But those sales, 8K, you can tell yourself confidently that those were, high sales because they were the first on the market. And it's, some people have a lot of money and it's worth it for them. And we can't really judge them on that.
Nope. However you would choose to spend your money is however you choose to spend it. And it's not just this release. This happens every release. And it's just at a different scale with Connor Bedard. But you can look at almost any rookie along, whether how hyped they were. And their first couple Young Guns PSA 10 sales are usually a big multiplier over what it settles out, normalizes out to 2-3 months down the road.
To give like a basketball comparison as well, real quick, Wembanyama, his out of 25 card, the Mojo Prism PSA 10, out of this year's product, that's a $40,000 plus Canadian card, and people are buying multiple copies of that card, right? So why can't hockey have that moment, right? So it does seem expensive to us, but in the world of other sports, it's still like just a regular play for Americans to purchase, right? So it's not out of this world. I think we're just not used to it in hockey, and that's kind of just what happened here.
It does seem like it's a first, and I want to be careful in how I say this, because I don't want to embellish at all, but I feel like we hear a lot from people, and there's a pretty healthy sort of hockey hobby doomsday sentiment approaching around all this. I think there's a lot of fear around, like, is there a bubble, and is this going to come crashing down? It has been a lot of sticker shock. I know that you can make like the comparison about Series 2 hobby boxes to say, well, even at $300 US or 450 whatever Canadian it is, it still pales in comparison to a Prism basketball box. But it's also the largest price increase ever between one release to another. And so I think that you do that is real, and that does impact people. How do you view sort of like the long-term effect of Bedardapalooza, and weigh kind of the good aspects of it versus maybe some of the potential negatives?
I'd say you gotta, look past what's happening with Bedard year. This is your moment to go buy what you like from another year, because no one's
Yeah.
looking at it. Right? You can't get upset about what's happening with Bedard and just stick to that idea without understanding, okay, if there is a bubble and people are starting to become fearful of the hockey card market as at large, there's an opportunity there. That means people are putting their wallets away. The ones that are scared about Bedard year, maybe they're putting their wallets away for McDavid. Maybe they're putting their wallets away for Jack Hughes or Cale Makar, because there seems to be a future watch out of PSA 10 McDavid in auction right now with another company that might sell for the lowest in a long time. That's ending today in a couple of hours. I don't know when this video is going to release, but we'll see.
It releases tomorrow, so you can bid on it and win.
Yeah, no, but we'll see. Like, I see a real opportunity and a chance that that's going to end for the lowest it has in a long time. So if you like the hockey hobby before Bedard year, you should like it a lot more now, because there's a lot of other players that aren't being looked at because everyone's looking at Bedard. So there's room for everyone, and so that's to kind of spin the negative of it all, which is what if you want to buy Bedard year stuff? If that's the case, I would say just wait it out, right? You just got to wait it out, or just, dabble a little bit, but don't go crazy into it. There's going to be opportunity with Bedard year as well. Even in the McDavid year, there's always an inflection point where supply is higher than demand due to, this. It usually happens about 5 to 6 months after release, when EPAC comes out as well, where there's just a lot of supply on the market and the demand starts waning. So you start seeing that, stable floor start approaching, and you can pretty easily see when that's happening and then go into it then, right? So it's just a patience play, really.
I totally agree with you, and on a couple points. Well, first of all, again, I don't want to judge anyone. It just like we shouldn't judge how people spend their money, judge how people think or what their thoughts, because everybody's experience in the hobby is individual and personal, right? And everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But I have heard a lot of people like say that they're going to quit the hobby because of this, and I just keep thinking, well, I find sets every day that I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. Like I love like low PG from 2016 OPG, and so I could never own a Connor Bedard card, and we made this point before, and have an amazing experience in the hobby, and probably build a valuable collection. And so I think that there's so much energy and excitement that sometimes it's tough not to get swept up into that. And then the other thing I think I really feel about it is, and what I've tried to do personally, is stick to my own personal collecting values. Like I was telling Troy before this, the card that I'm going to hunt at the expo, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, is the one Bedard card I really want is not like something crazy. I love the OPG Marquee Rookie Lenticular 3Ds, and I'm pretty confident that I'm going to get that card at a decent price a few months from now, because there's going to be a lot of options out there. It'll never be the sexiest, it'll never compete with a high gloss out of 10, but I'm going to be really happy owning that card and feel like I'm participating in the whole Bedard mania, and it kind of sticks with everything that sort of like how I like to collect. And I think that maybe people are getting swept up.
Oh yeah, I think that's, I 100% agree with that. And you got to remember, there's going to be thousands of different Bedard cards as well. So there's going to be a lot of options for a lot of people. And I feel for that as well. I feel for that. It gets overwhelming. It gets overwhelming when you see everyone hitting Bedard, hitting this big card, $20,000 hit, $10,000 hit, and maybe you did go and buy one hobby box and you spent a lot of money on it and you opened it and you didn't get the Bedard and now you're in the whole $400. And I get that. And it is something that can be frustrating. And I have seen that sentiment as well, where people are saying they want to quit the hobby. But I gotta say, I think this is a kind of an event that does not happen very often in hockey. So you just need to, enjoy the energy of it all. And maybe just turn off Instagram and not scroll for a couple of weeks, but it's going to get back to normalcy. And you're gonna, there's going to be years where, the star rookie isn't as hyped. And it's going to go back to being normal. It's not going to stay like this forever. I don't think this means next year's boxes are $400, right? Now, if that happens and, people are priced out to the point where the hobby just, can't be, done by certain people or most people, then I get it. But I don't think that's going to happen. It's just, not enough, money out there to afford these things every single year at that price.
At some point, market forces rule, right? I mean, we've seen it where you look at 2022-23 box prices right now. There's screaming deals. If you're a Wyatt Johnston fan or you like Owen Power or you're at Slavkovsky, it's like Christmas because you're getting $150 boxes for half off in a lot of cases right now. And so, yeah. And Macklin Celebrini has had an awesome year in college, but he has nowhere near the hype of Connor Bedard.
Yep.
None. And he could be a great NHL player. It's nothing against him, but at this point in sort of where Connor Bedard was at 6 months away from the draft, he had multiple cards selling for over $10,000.
Yeah.
Right. And there's just not that energy around Celebrini that there is Bedard. And so I tend to agree with you that box prices will normalize. And kind of along that thought, how big of an impact has the David Adams bounty had on the chase?
Yeah, I think it does definitely have an impact, and I also don't think at the same token, I don't think these boxes are going to really go down in value either. Yeah, with these Bedard year boxes, even if that 1-on-1 gets hit. If you go and see just the past, McDavid year, Matthews year, even Jack Hughes year, Cale Makar, those boxes sell for $300-400 plus. Right. So you really need Bedard to not show anything for the next 2 years for these boxes to go down in value. So I do believe we're going to see these prices stick with 2023 series 2. And that 1-on-1 chase is just going to add an extra amount of impact, especially if it doesn't get hit. But guess what? There's also the out of 25 that's selling for $15,000, $20,000, $25,000. That's a new addition. There's still the high gloss. That's $50,000 maybe. There's a silver outburst that people are starting to, like a lot. So there's a lot of value still in that product. And I do hear, okay, what if I'm a Leo Carlsson fan? It sucks for me because I can't buy Leo Carlsson. I feel for those people the most because that I get. However, good news. Because things are so overprinted, because it's Bedard and there's so much demand, there's going to be a lot of supply of the other guys. And eventually those prices are going to start taking a hit. That's why you kind of see Artemi Panarin not being, more than $15, $20 because there's just so many Panarin because he's in McDavid's year and they just sold a lot of, product that year.
Yep.
So there's good news for those collectors too. You're just going to have to be patient. But yeah, obviously $1 million bounty is why the guy that hasn't heard of Crosby before is opening up a pack of Series 2 right now, right? And obviously that's going to dwindle supply and keep prices up a little bit. So it definitely does help the prices keep healthy.
As we talked about, some will go, some will stay, some will be happy, some will be frustrated. But do you think the overall net effect is that this is growing the hockey hobby?
Yeah, I think so for sure. Because look, net effect is if one person likes hockey now because of this, right? So there's definitely a bunch of people that have never opened hockey cards before and then realized how cool they are. There could be now speculators that never considered speculating on hockey cards now start thinking about them. I've seen, Americans that I've been friends with for 5-6 years that have never touched hockey cards go and pick up a Crosby auto or a McDavid auto now because of the hype with Series 2. So there is definitely, I believe, a net positive effect on just the approach to hockey cards and changing your mindset about them. They're kind of just like the, 5th, 6th tier sometimes for a lot of people. And now it's moving up the ladder. And whether that lasts a very long time, I'm not sure, but I definitely know that there's going to be more people looking at hockey long term.
Well, I think a huge thing here in the United States that has impacted the Bedard market, and it really can't be discounted, is a year ago the NHL going back on a national TV schedule. Number one, and secondly, the NHL at making the actual conscious decision to market Connor Bedard. Like, it's criminal what they've done here with McDavid. And you saw it too. I think it was most eloquently pointed out when this past summer when the Senators were for sale and Snoop Dogg was part of that ownership group. And his key point was nobody in America knows who Connor McDavid is.
Yeah.
And that's really an indictment on the NHL to have that level of talent and not be, yelling from the rooftops about who this guy is and putting him in front of people. And so it seems like that they really finally learned their lesson. I assume, I don't know, we don't live in Canada, that every good player has tons of exposure in Canada. It's just not the case here. And I told this on our last episode, but it's still stuck with me where my little 9-year-old nephew is starting summer AAA hockey. They had their first practice. And when they were doing like the team intros, hey, tell us a little bit about yourself. My brother's a coach, and the coaches asked the kids, "Who's your favorite hockey player?" There's 20 kids on the team. He said 80% said Connor Bedard.
Oh wow, that's interesting. Love that.
And then that gives you just an indication of how he's permeated,
yeah,
right, into the lexicon and into the, and then that's where I think that what's really stood out about him is sort of his transcendent nature. And that's what makes like these generational talents really so unique, is that they have that ability to take a non-hockey, like we're seeing a lot, and Troy and I are joking about all these content creators and people that have never opened a box of hockey cards in their life, right? Which really says something. It says something significant, that it's like they're opening, they're chasing a kid, they have no idea what they're looking at. It's funny. They probably pronounce names better than we do, which is sad for us. But they do. And I kind of agree. I think that there is negatives. I feel for people, I feel like mostly Karn for that segment of the set builders that look forward to buying their case, because that's kind of how the case is constructed really for them. But I do feel like the net effect is positive.
Yeah, completely
Oh,
agree.
okay. So and we kind of alluded to this, but I want to, I had in my notes to ask you, I have a theory that so if you're, because you've actually, and it stuck with me, said on our show a number of months ago that in general, right, we're probably talking about Bedard, a finite amount of money that exists in the hobby, right, and how that pool shifts around by focus, is gonna, there's unintended consequences in other areas. I have a theory that, well, I'm not going to say it, but because I want to get your answer first. If there's one player that the Bedard effect maybe hurts their values the most, who do you think? Who do you, in your mind, do you have someone that you would speculate that would be?
Do you long term or short term? I think it's different for both.
Well, I actually would love to hear both answers.
So I
If you
think
wouldn't
short
mind.
term. I know it's. I don't want to just play in the expensive world, but I think Connor McDavid short term, because a lot of the guys.
That's why.
Yeah, a lot of the guys that are, big money guys are the guys that can afford Bedard, and now they started looking at Bedard. I actually had, some big American McDavid buyers months ago ask me this question via text. do you think I should dump all my McDavid because of Bedard coming in, because all the money is going to flow towards Bedard and McDavid's going to start getting cheaper, and I'll just buy them back then. And that's exactly what he did, and that's exactly what's happening. You're starting to see McDavid cards slide a little bit in value because all that big money is moving towards Bedard, and a lot of times that big money is looking for that speculative play, right? They've hit big on players in the past. They want to hit big on a player again, right? So a lot of the times it's as simple as money flowing in a certain direction. Nothing about player performance, nothing about anything else. Just where's the money going? And right now the money's going towards Bedard, and it's affecting McDavid prices. And I think that's pretty clear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would. So long. What's your long term?
Long term could go two ways. Now, it could go either this money flowing towards Bedard creates actual long-term interest in hockey cards. And since hockey cards have, in my opinion, the largest collector base and a lot of the bigger cards locked away, a lot of the bigger cards, have, price tags, and they're not getting rid of them until that price tag hits. And if you start seeing money come in trying to actually play in this hockey card genre, they're not going to be able to find those big cards, and they're going to start overpaying, and the whole market's going to start flying up, and maybe McDavid, his cards go roaring past Bedard as people start comparing, stats and start bringing those indicators of player value, player performance into play. That's kind of what happened in basketball during those crazy times in COVID. It was like, okay, if LeBron James is selling for 120K and Dwayne Wade is selling for 5K, that's like, less than 5%. So I'm going to buy Dwayne Wade up because he's 20% of the player that LeBron James is. So then everyone starts playing this speculative game. And what happened in the end, a lot of that stuff crashed because of that. That's a real bubble, right? That's why I don't think we're actually in a real bubble right now. But I think that's one way it can go. Or the other way is just simply all the money flows towards Bedard right now, and it slowly starts going back to the other guys that people really want to enjoy and collect in PC. So then Bedard starts going down and McDavid starts going past him again. I think that's probably more likely. And that's kind of what I'm betting on. I'm going to go after McDavid's.
I got to do a basketball card podcast for like a 30-second basketball card podcast because I know you like basketball too. So we're in Minnesota, and about I actually played basketball growing up, and I've appreciated hockey more as an adult. And from the moment he was drafted, I've just been literally had a man crush on Anthony Edwards. And I just knew he was special. And, getting the vantage point of watching every game as a fan. And there's about 2 years ago, there was, I think, like an immaculate RPA. It was right around $1,000. And I sat for 2 days, decided if I should pull the trigger on this. And that was at the time where LaMelo Ball, is better and everyone's better. And he's an athlete. He doesn't really want to play basketball. This morning, I went back and I looked that card up.
What's it at now?
Oh God, I'm blanking. I want to say it's like 20, maybe or more.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember that era of, not to make this into a basketball podcast, but I remember that era of, Anthony Edwards making that comment that he's not really a fan of basketball. That was kind of his lowest in value. People really took that one seriously. So yeah, it's exactly that. Go find your Anthony Edwards today in the hockey market. There are plays out there. There are ways to collect right now on a budget. Don't get overwhelmed. This stuff is going to, go away in time in terms of that overwhelming nature and frustration of it all. New products are going to come out and we're all going to be happy again, I'm sure.
The lesson, though, to me in that, as you kind of relate it back to hockey real quick, though, is, right, it was a case where I had observed somebody, and study is a bad word, but just spent my time learning about him and watching him, where like so much of these, whether it be Wembanyama or other generational type or big time rookies, that you just get swept up in the hype and you don't really know, and you're just kind of throwing money at it because everyone else does. It's like, I think that it's a healthy exercise before you decide to kind of go in on a player to a big degree, no matter what sport they're in, to really put that time in and to make sure that you think that, okay, if I'm going to spend $5,000 on a card, is this the type of player that, even no matter, irrespective of what the value does over the next few years, that I really enjoy and can stand behind, and because I think that you'll make better choices over the long. You'll never bat 1,000 because life is unpredictable, of
Yeah.
course, and anything can happen. But that was like a good reminder to me that, again, not to just get swept up with every sort of rookie of the day, because so much of the hobby marketing machine, rightfully so, is very smart, is geared around the shiny new toy.
Yeah. And hey, on the flip side, to give a nugget to the guys that are buying Bedard and believe in him, this is the time to accumulate those rare pieces that might never see, the time of day again. We have 4 red outbursts out of 25 in eBay auctions sold or live right now. Those might never come back. Like, it's very possible. Like, I'll give a story about McDavid. There was a time where there was a listing on eBay, and it was called the Holy Trinity set, for McDavid. It was his high gloss, Black Label Young Guns, and an exclusives. It was listed at, I think, $40,000 in 2015. Crazy high price. Like, it was, considered, this guy's out to lunch. This stuff will never sell. He's just showcasing, displaying his cards. Those 3 cards are probably worth about $250,000 to $300,000 now, right? No one saw it then, right? And it's potentially possible, the 98 out of 100 exclusives Young Guns, you're never going to see it again. Where's the McDavid? Yeah. I actually know where the McDavid is, and the guy bought it during release time, and he's held on to it since. All those big cards, the McDavid Shield, the one that I purchased with David a little while ago. That card hadn't seen the light of day since release. The owner bought that card for $30,000. We paid a lot more for that card, just 5 or 7 years later. So the potential still exists, even though it's easy to say this Bedard mania will end. There's also a potential chance that these big rare cards are actually the cheapest they'll ever be, and that's
a good point. That's a great point. That's what we've tried to stress to people, is that a week or two into a release, that the focus on the uncommon cards and understand that the common cards will be, because we know, right, that there will be enough. Who knows how many, if it'll be the most graded card of all time, but the base Connor Bedard Young Gun PSA 10, a year from now, you'll be able to buy one every hour of every day of every week of every year. It's just going to be it'll probably still be valuable. I'm not saying it won't be valuable, but it'll be available. Where, like you said, in the hockey hobby, people tend to collect and acquire these pieces, and they never see the light of day ever. You never even see them. It's like it's not that they're not even up for sale. It's that they just sort of disappear from social media and all that sort of stuff. Okay, I have 3. Actually, yes, there is a hobby beyond Connor Bedard. So I have 3 questions for you that I'm just interested to get your perspective on, and then I want to talk about Slab Sharks a little bit, because you guys have a lot going on. Okay, whose hobby market has more on the line this postseason, Matthews or McDavid?
I gotta say Matthews. I think McDavid's got the accolades. He can still survive a little bit, and he's still like transcendent. He's worldwide. Everyone kind of that is in hockey believes in him. Matthews, he's my guy. Huge Leafs fan, but they have to go over the hump. And the fact that he's on pace for 70 goals, and he's starting to slow down a little bit now, but he needs to do that in the playoffs. They can't lose in the first round again, and if we might play Florida, the Panthers. We need him to go and score 8 to 10 goals in a playoff series. He really needs to do that, and he relies on goals. He can't just get away with assists.
Yeah,
McDavid can get 100 assists, and it's and he's all good. He's got all those Art Ross trophies, and I think his team is a little bit closer to a cup, unfortunately. And I think that's a little bit because McDavid does perform in the playoffs. He's got them to the Western Conference Finals before. The Leafs they're cursed, and it sucks, but they're cursed. And Matthews needs to have a big series where he puts the team on his back. He scores that game-winning goal to take us to the second round. It can't be John Tavares this time around. So I hope so, man. I hope he gets a hattie in a couple of those games.
Troy, what was it in our last mailbag? Somebody brought up a point or asked a question around Matthews, and isn't he one of the few people that ever might have 60 goals and not score 100 points?
And not score 100 points. And it's only happened. What did I find? 3 instances, maybe 3 to 5. It happened before. But yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Okay. Here's my next question. As we sit today, do you believe Ovi ends up with the Gretzky goals record?
I think the better question is he going to do it with grace? Because I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to do it.
You think he'll grind it out till he's 70 and just
I hope not, but like he's not too far away, right? 50 goals, he can play 3 years, score like, less than 20 goals a year and get it. I don't want Ovi to break that record with like a 12-goal season at like 42 or something.
And 8 of those goals are empty netters.
Empty netter. Ovi special.
50, the Ovi special. He gets a lot of empty netters.
See, I'm of the base where I think Ovechkin does a little bit more than just empty net and power play goals. To be honest, he does it in a lot of ways.
Oh, he's a hell of a player.
Yeah. But I think it's he's got to do it with like next year, not a 50-goal season, but maybe he gets 40, and then the next year he gets 20. That's with grace. I think that's the way to get it done. But if he does, like a 20-20-12 type situation, that's gonna for me that affects how we see Ovi. And people have an argument against it, like, oh, he kind of just like played just to get the record and he didn't care about the caps, he didn't care about this. That's gonna affect things. So hopefully he does it with grace, but I think he's gonna do it for sure.
His market, I think, has taken a definitive step back this year with how he's played. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, last question before we get into Slab Sharks. Aside from Bedard, is there another young player that intrigues you?
As in the hobby or in
like
hockey?
Yeah, just in the hobby.
In the hobby, young player, like how young we talking? Like this year, like rookie this season?
Within the last couple years.
I mean, honestly, not really. No one for the hobby is like special enough as like a speculative play. And in terms of PC, I only PC like McDavid and Matthews and Ovechkin and Crosby. So I'm not really like a rookie speculator when it comes to like, those like more second tier, third tier rookie players. I honestly don't know. I think it's just going to be a random player that no one thought of and is going to have a great career like Brock Faber, like you could have got as young and super cheap and now they're, $30, $40, $50 at some point. They've gone back down a little bit, but I think that's the type of, speculation you're going to see. But in terms of young players, I don't know. The last one really to me is just the Cale Makars, the Jack Hughes type players. I never really believed in Jason Robertson, to be honest. Never believed in a couple of those guys that got really hot. Tage Thompson.
Yeah, I was just saying Tage Thompson.
Never really.
He's had a terrible year.
Yeah,
I never really believed in them. And is there another guy in there? I don't know. Like, what do you guys think? Is there anyone special?
Well, a guy we've talked about a lot, and we do a deep dive segment, which actually personally gives us where we go back to like the start, right, and learn. And I think what's really important, it's not 100%, but to look at like pedigree, right? Because you'll see guys that'll have like 40 goals, but it's honestly the only time since like they were 12 where they ever scored 40 goals. So you're like, this is an outlier. When you look at Quinn Hughes, there's a couple really intriguing things. Number one, his pedigree is incredible. And if you take aside COVID, right, his offensive production has increased every year he's been in the league. He just keeps getting better and better and better. Now, the question is there room in the hobby for like one elite defenseman and Makar, and then let alone 2, right? So that's the hard part, because we asked that question in our last episode. Is it a nice story, or is he kind of here to stay as a hobby elite guy? And he's going to have to compete and probably beat out Makar for Norris trophies and stuff like that. And he's going to have to be a better goal scorer too, because I think he's got 13, 14 goals, which is the most he's ever scored in his career. And that's not going to, you need to be 25, 30 goals in that range. But
yeah, I think there's something about the stature of Cale Makar too, just the way he looks, the way he plays, the way he just has like this leader type. Obviously Quinn Hughes is a captain, but just the way he just carries himself is a little bit different. And if a guy came to me and he said, "Look, Karn, who should I invest in? Should I invest in a defenseman?" And I'm like, I would say, no, don't invest in a defenseman. Go get some Connor McDavid. And then he'd be like, no, I really believe a defenseman, is the way to go. The game is changing. A lot of, a lot of like who carries a team is a number one defenseman now. And I want to be different. Give me a guy. I'm going to give Cale Makar 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
Like Quinn Hughes is really great, but there's just something about him that just doesn't give me that, investment area of advice. Like I think he's great as a player. Like if I'm deciding on an NHL roster between the two, it's a little different. I'm still taking Cale Makar, but as a card guy, I think it's gotta go Cale Makar every single day.
We've studied the hobby like pretty intently for a few years now, and it struck me a while ago even that the more you learn, like if you're looking at it through the lens of sort of like value, or if you want to use the word investment, is that the bankable, like the truly bankable list of players, whether you're looking at vintage or modern or current, is actually pretty small. Like it's pretty simple at some points of this high, and so many people want it to grow and they want their guy to be on that level. But it's like McDavid, Matthews, Ovechkin, Crosby, Gretzky, or Howe.
Yeah.
Patrick Waugh. There you go. I mean, it's like,
and that's in every sport too. Like there's like you can apply that to every single sport. It don't matter how much money is in that genre. It's 5 to 10 guys in a 80-year span. So sometimes it's just keeping it simple. And it's the money goes to the top end. So that's kind of just the rule you got to go with. But collect what you like, right? Go do what you like. But when you're talking about investment and speculation value, you got to go with the top end, because when someone asks, what should I buy? This is my first hockey card. No one's going to say, Tyson Forster. They're going to say Connor Bedard, right? Or they're going to say Connor McDavid. So
well, one last question I want to get your perspective on, because I think it's really important for people to keep in mind before we get into Slab Sharks, is you had alluded to when we started our conversation about the quantity and the variation that we're going to see with a rookie like Bedard. Troy and I did, what was it, Troy, like a month or two ago, where we sort of looked at key rookies by year and how many rookie cards they had. And like McDavid, I'm paraphrasing here, maybe had like 500 different rookies, and like Cole Caulfield had like 980 or something like that. So we're like, okay, Bedard will have over 1,000. If you're gonna, and I think that, again, sometimes I worry that we're like too value based, but it's like whether your intent is to keep a card forever or flip it or whatever, I think most people that the value matters to a lot of these cards. And how important do you think it is to choose wisely the type of card that you're buying right now, and especially if you're going to make a sizable investment?
Yeah, look, as much as people hate the young guns, for example, if you go look at, I was very, very involved in Austin Matthews' rookie year, right? So I know exactly like how it kind of operated. You could have bought his, premier RPA for $3,000 in 2016. And you could have got his young guns for $200. Fast forward 8 years later, the way better card is $1,500, and his young guns is $1,700 in the PSA 10, right? And it's a head scratcher. It makes almost no sense. You can't really explain it, but that's just how it goes sometimes, right? So you gotta go with the card that people understand, people chase. You always got to ask yourself, like, is this, and this is anything I say on a investor value speculation, mindset is just that. If you're a PC collector, I always like to say this. I never want to come across as like, being like an elitist that's only trying to invest. I collect as well. So if you're collecting stuff, collect whatever you want. But when it comes to, picking the right card, always ask yourself, um, is this something someone's going to want in the future if they're new to this sport? And is it easy to explain to them? And does it have demand? Right? Is it
Yeah.
something that people historically understand? Does it have a lineage? Is there, some sort of reason that someone will want to complete a set? That's OPG Platinum. They didn't have the lineage, but okay, it's cool set. I can see people are going to want the rainbow, so I can see a hunt for the Emerald Surge come up, and people like fighting against each other to raise the value of that card to win it, right? So those are the type of questions you want to ask. What is going to have a demand in the future? What is definitely not going to have demand in the future? Cough like Team Canada, Bedard cards like that. Those are going to be a little tough in the future. Anything that has the Team Canada jersey, you just know simply people are not going to want that as much as the Chicago Blackhawks card. So, pay attention to that. And it's easy to get lost in the sauce trying to collect them all. Maybe collect the Team Canada ones at the end and start with the Blackhawks ones, for example. So, yeah, always ask yourself the questions.
I think that's a great point. And, you have to keep in mind when you look at any card, like what your outcome or goal is. Like I mentioned, I want the Marquee Rookie 3D lenticular. I know that that's not going to be a super valuable card down the road. And so whatever I spend on it, I don't care. Right. It's just because that's just the card that I want. Or if I was going into it and I said, okay, well, I do want to speculate a little bit. I have a couple grand to spend. Then I think you're right on track. You have to, I always look at a card like, I imagine buying a card and walking around the expo or a card show and maybe trying to move it and handing it over to a dealer and what their facial reaction is when if their eyes get big and they're like, whoa, here's a big card, right? Then that that's probably versus you hand them an OPG base card, PSA 10, and they're going to be pretty, have a much more of a ho hum probably response to it. Okay, we got to talk about Slab Sharks a little bit. So you guys have been, I know, working really hard. You've been working, building your business. It's becoming pretty much the go-to, right? And especially in Canada. So, what's new? What have you guys been focused on?
Yeah, we've been working really hard to create a better experience, just improving every single day, whether that be internally to optimize our processes to get cards out faster, or have more available accessible drop off points, having more affiliates across the country, so you can use their services in an easier way, paying people out quicker. And obviously this portal that we've promised for months now, that we've been working really hard at. And the reason why it keeps getting delayed is just we keep adding features, and we want it to be released in a fashion that's perfect almost, right? And I'm happy to say it's almost there. And
Nice.
it's something I can even like tease a little bit here too. Yeah, and this is kind of a tidbit of what we've been working on. This is one of my dummy accounts here, and you have a little bit of a dashboard where you can now see all the cards you have in auction with us, things that have been completed. You can search, by weeks. You want to know how much your card went for, what your payout rate is, and all this stuff is not right, by the way. It's 98%, but this was sold in November. You'll see your payout right on our dashboard. You'll see your scheduled. I don't have scheduled listings right now, but you'll be able to see your scheduled cards. So a lot of times people, want to follow their cards. Did Slab Sharks receive receive your cards? It'll actually appear right here, and you'll be able to actually request changes as well to the title, for example, if we've misspelled something or missed a jersey number. Component of the card.
Yep.
We'll do announcements here. So we have, our Bedard promo right here. We actually have a comp tool being developed as well. You'll actually be able to submit online as well. So you can actually just go right here, get everything submitted, light and dark mode. We actually, have a French, translation as well. And then a nice cool part as well. Is it sharing the auctions page right now? Let me press this.
Yep,
Yeah,
there you go.
It is right now.
So now you can actually just go on slabsharks.com and it's releasing in about a couple of weeks, and you can actually see all our auctions here. So you don't have to, go to eBay. You can go to our site and see all of our auctions all in one place. We'll actually have an auction preview now as well. So our auctions go live every Thursday. You'll actually be able to look at it on Wednesdays now, and you can actually go search through the preview. We don't have any right now because it's going to be tomorrow. And all the cards are going to pop up here. And if you see mistakes, we're going to launch this community QA program where people can actually fix mistakes and earn points with us that can be redeemed for submissions. And we have a watch list, things of that nature. And yeah, this is pretty much what we've been working on for a long time, and it's going pretty well.
When's it go live?
We are hoping for I'm going to say guaranteed launch. Guaranteed launch for the expo.
Okay.
Which is in late April.
Late April. So beyond launching a new portal, which you've been working on, and to me, I'm not I'm not an expert in all the consignment services, but it feels like it's kind of a first of a kind. Like you guys are really working hard to up the game as far as services offered. Do you have big plans for the expo too?
Yeah. So we also have an app as well. So that was the desktop version, and the app is going to release at the same time. And we're going to have, a little bit of a giveaway if you come to our booth and sign up to our app. We're going to give away packs of Series 2
nice
hockey packs every sign up. So that's not a chance to win, but every single person that signs up gets a pack, and you might hit a Bedard. So that's a potential, $3,000 maybe in giveaways there. So that'll be fun.
Then I assume if you hit one, you can consign it right away, right?
Exactly. That's the way it works, right?
And hand her over. The last thing I would love for you to comment on, because I really do think that this is important, and you've probably even mentioned it before, but I think it's worth reiterating, is I've heard you talk a lot about Slab Sharks and you and your partner's intention behind the business and your pride on it being a Canadian company. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think for Canadians, we've never had a way to liquidate your cards in a safe, easy, quick manner, and that's kind of what we wanted to do. We wanted to bring innovation to this country, and America, you guys already have a lot of stuff down there, right? So a lot of times that us Canadians would have to ship over the border just to sell our cards or get paid out in US dollars and those type of things that really add on to the transactional costs in being in this hobby, and even getting cards. A lot of times, even hockey cards, the big ones, were going to American consignment companies or American shops, and buying hockey cards from the United States gets a little difficult sometimes with the taxes and the kind of issues getting cards over here. And with us, we bring them home, but we're still very US friendly as well. We ship to the US. We have American consigners as well, and we do pay them out in US dollars as well. So and the special thing is, since we're open North American wide and worldwide for a lot of our bigger cards, we kind of get the best of both worlds for hockey cards. The cards are in the space where most of the hockey collectors are, so we get a lot of bids because of that, but it's also open to Americans, and it's less costly transactionally to buy from Canada as an American than it is as a Canadian to buy from an American. So
it's a nightmare to ship, because we do a lot of like trades and deals with people in Canada, and I mean, to me, that's like a huge benefit. It's so stressful. The shipping, it's the worst part about, and it's very, I hate it. And I wish that there was a better way. I wish our countries, like, there's no reason why to send mail should be as difficult as they make it, but that's not a problem we can solve. And so to me, that's a huge benefit. You guys kind of removed the stress and the hassle around that. And I really appreciate it. So trying to have a card. Oh, go ahead. But then
I was going to say, just before we go there, it's crazy, but it's cheaper for us to ship to America than it is within Canada.
Wow.
Right. So for us, makes no difference if we ship to America or not, because it's cheaper. It makes no sense, but that's how it is. And for Americans, it's like 3-4 times more costly to ship to Canada than it is within the US. So it gives us this little special advantage over anyone else that we're able to do that. But yeah, let's see that red rookie debut.
Yeah, that's I was gonna say, just one on the shipping. When you actually buy a lot, like I've bought multiple things from you during the same auction, and it's really nice because you combine shipping, and then it's like not even that much to ship it to the US.
So here's our tentative plan. We're
here we go.
I checked into PSA, and unless I want to expedite, which I don't, like it's never coming back. So assuming that they do on-site grading at the expo, kind of our plan is to get this puppy graded because looks pretty minty. No, it'll probably come back at 2. And then we'll probably be dropping it off at Slab Sharks at the expo.
Amazing. Can't wait. And I have based on that card, I'll tell you a little secret. Hopefully 99% sure. But I think we're going to have the 101 in auction this Thursday, maybe next Thursday, but it's going to be the black rookie debut Bedard.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
The Leo Carlson sold for, I think that the gold outburst, I about like choked on my something. I was like, 101. I'm like, what happened?
I know. I was like, oh God, like here it comes. And then
no, that's a big card too, man. The black rookie debut 101. It's a very, very nice looking card. It's stamped 101. It's a major hit. It's gonna be the first Chicago Blackhawks 101 Bedard rookie out there.
Yep.
Hopefully I'm not jumping the gun because I have the verbal kind of confidence it's coming into auction. But if you see it, great. If you don't, I'm gonna be sad.
Send the link to our episode to the card owner and say, well, the pot's been committed. So now
exactly.
Now you got to do it. Well, you've been very generous with your time, and we're very appreciative. And when we have people that have supported us on, I always like to take a second and publicly thank you for really supporting our show. And we tell people all the time too that a big we work hard to help you guys spread the word about Slab Sharks. But I know a big part of what you do is, you want hockey to have a show that, for in that there's a commitment that goes just beyond the ROI. And it's something that I know you feel is important. We couldn't do our show without people like Slab Sharks. And so just thank you for really helping us do this.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for building this for us hockey collectors and fans, and that's kind of what my goal is. 5 years ago, there wasn't a lot of hockey content, so you guys are kind of building the dream for us hockey fans. We're and a lot of times you get angry at the post like, oh man, that card sold too low or sold too high. But we all love it. So, always hold your head up high. It's all love for every single person that watches and listens to you guys. And it's been an amazing kind of thing for us as hockey fans.
Well, I think we're a good partnership, and I'm excited to see what you guys do, and we'll be looking forward to catching you up with you at the expo. And just for anyone that's interested, make sure you go to slabsharks.com. There's all the consignment information there. They'll of course have their new portal and enhanced website that'll launch hopefully by the expo.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. All right. Well, thanks, Card. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're back. Thoughts, Troy? You were quiet during that interview.
Yeah, I was soaking it all in. Every time I thought of a question, either I saw it was on our list to come up, or he kind of answered it as he was talking. But no, I thought it was great to hear his update on all the Bedard stuff. I actually liked when we started talking about when you asked him about who doesn't want to cut Matthews or McDavid, who's it hurt more. And I think both you and me said we thought it might be McDavid, but he was totally on the other side saying Matthews. So I like that I like getting different perspectives. And then I like seeing the updates that are coming to Slab Sharks. I've used them personally to buy things. I've never sold anything through them, but it looks like they got some really cool things in the hopper. So it was a fantastic discussion. A lot of Bedard talk, and good to get a different perspective than on the current state of the hobby.
Well, I was worried I was being a microphone hog. Like I was being the Austin Matthews of microphone.
You're all good.
And okay. Well, you just got to barge in. Okay. Karn's obviously a very smart guy, and so I love when we get to chat with him because it gives me a lot to think about. I think that's kind of what you said too.
Yeah.
Hey, rolled the new product releases. Very happy and excited day for us here at the Gong Show.
Yep.
We've been for a long time. Going back to, well, we thought this was first coming out, last May?
Yep.
So after almost a year delay, today finally 2022-23 Parkhurst Champions was released. We each open a box, Troy.
Yep.
And have some of our, call it, instant reactions to share. So I'll go first, and then you chime in after or intermix, whatever you want to do. So off the bat, I'm just going to say I really enjoyed opening the box. I think Billy Celio and all the team at Upper Deck did a fantastic job with the set. I always want to be like really conscious about praising them because, you know, we can all criticize Upper Deck and oftentimes rightfully so, but I believe like fairness and opinion, right? That when they do good, that we should go out of our way to praise them for things that we really like. And I really like the set so far. No set's perfect, but I had a lot of fun opening the boxes. In a weird way too, I think the timing was almost perfect, right? Yeah. It's a different set, and I think different in a good way. But again, we talked about these delays, and it seemed like, oh my gosh, it's delayed again. When's this going to come out? But the fact that it came out a month or week or 2 weeks, whatever it's been, after Series 2, where it's $120. I don't know who's looking at this like you're not trying to like strike it rich and flip like a key rookie. I feel like at least that you're just opening this for the love of the game, right? You're for the love of the hobby, just to have fun, just to see cool cards. And so again, I think if you would have gone from like Series 2 to SB Authentic, or even the next one, right? SB Game Used, where it's just, again, the Bedard chase is back on. It just kind of felt like a reprieve a little bit from Bedardapalooza. And I appreciated that. Did that make sense? Does that make sense to you at all?
Yeah, make complete sense to me.
The cards themselves are pretty great. A couple that really stood out to me. I really like the Jukebox Heroes. The fact that they were die cuts. If you recall, when we were looking at the previews, you almost couldn't tell.
Yeah, these things.
They were die cut.
At least there's one on screen. The Kaprizov. I'll show. Hopefully this looks. If you're watching on YouTube, I have one that I got in my box. But they are really. You can see kind of how shiny they are. They actually. I think these are great. I love the look of these.
They're Who's really that?
Cool.
Is that
Heiskin?
Kind of fuzzy.
Mira Heiskin. Yeah, I don't know why my camera won't focus in on this stuff. Sorry, people, but they're really shiny, really cool.
The other card, like I really super love, are the 51 Parkies. They are minis. You know, that might not have been clear in all their previews. So I'm assuming they're the size of the 1951 Parkhurst, like because they were very small cards too when they came out a long time ago. There's a wrapper back like that's similar to the wax wrapper that they came in variation that I think that's like 1 in 40 pack odds to get that variation. But these are super cool cards too. So, I mean, it's really hard, Troy, to have a lot of a opinion formulated at this point because there's, we don't know what the secondary market sales are going to be like or if the product price is going to go up, how many people will buy it, if it'll be like a niche thing that just like nerds like us really like.
Well, I need to put a call out. So I got this, doesn't look very good, but I think it's the gold power steering. So whoever has the gold but Boston cream pie, I need to make a trade. Power steering for Boston cream pie. And I'm going to show, I got my auto. I got an auto in my box. It's our new Ryan O'Reilly. Trey Fix Wolansky. You can see on the little 51 retro. Cool card.
The autos are pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's really neat. One thing I will say though, I wish I don't know how you do it. Like see the blank backs, they're not blank, obviously, because modern set you have to put all the stuff at the bottom, and then they have to put that it's an authentic autograph. But really cool set. I had a lot of fun ripping it. The paper stock of the cards I think is similar to what OPC was this year. It's a different one, than OPC had last year. It's really nice. It's really feels a little bit firmer. So I'm just looking at the cards over there, and I like that there's like rainbows and shiny stuff, but on the back they list out what the card is. On the top right, on most of them, I think it had rainbow or I can't remember, gold something, and a bunch of stuff. But they're really cool cards. Veterans, it says veteran. Legends say legend. That stuff helps me. I like when they're easy to figure out what I got. Great. I love it. I love this set. I'm going to buy more of it, obviously. Or hopefully the price doesn't go up.
Yeah, I have a hard time predicting that right now. Like what secondary market sales are going to be like, if people are really going to chase this, if it's a little too different from people. Do you kind of have a guess one way or the other?
I think people are going to like it. I don't know if that's just me being biased that I really like it, but just it's got a nice nostalgia factor. There's some legends in it. It's got cool little retro 51 inserts. There's just, I mean, again, it's 120 plus it's, I'm going to air quote this, cheaper at $120 US dollars a box. But I really enjoyed it opening my box. So I want more. Now I will say too, I notice on how the packs are or the cards are in the packs, when you open them, watch when you rip it down the middle and then pull it over that you don't nick the back card. The upper right corner can get nicked sometimes. I think they're kind of, I don't know, tight in the pack is what I'm trying to say. So just watch that. If you're careful, it's fine. Plus it's a base card at the back. So you're not going to hit the hit or anything. So just be aware of that.
Yeah. Couple notes that's important to know when you're opening it. There's not an auto in every box.
No,
it's an auto or a memorabilia card, which could be a patch, could be a jersey swatch. So I don't know what the exact ratio is but it's, I think at least half the boxes there's an auto. You got the minis, the 51 Parkies inserts. You got to look at the back for those wrappers so that you can see them. And yeah, it's just a really good product. I can't wait to see, again, how it shakes out. And I would actually love the price to come down because I would love to buy a lot of this and just open up a lot of it and collect it. It's fun to collect stuff too. It's fun to chase like huge valuable rookies like Bedard's. And then like I said, I love the timing of this. Right. And then it's just fun it feels like a very collector set to me. Okay. Last little bit is just kind of a funny anecdote from the show here about Series 2. And this probably didn't hit you because I don't think you knew what I was doing yesterday, Troy. But I want to tell this little story because no matter like how much good advice we try to give people, at the end of the day, you and I are just two like dopey collectors like everybody else. So I was at Target and Series 2 retail has not been in retail stores here until I think yesterday. It's been wild. It's been like, it was everywhere day one, and in Minnesota or the Twin Cities, nowhere to be found. So I had to go get something for dinner, and it's kind of funny. I haven't bought retail at like Target or Walmart in forever.
Yeah, we even said we were not buying retail anymore. Yeah. Like we don't want it.
That lasts a lot. That being said, it's probably been a year plus.
Yeah.
But nary a time, Troy, have I gone to Target and not taken a stroll by the card aisle like a little crack addict, right? Yeah. Just having to check out the situation. Are you the same? Like, have you gone to a Target and not walked by the card aisle? I don't think so.
I always walk by just to see.
I have to. It's like an obsession kind of thing, right? Even though I don't buy anything. So I do it, of course, yesterday, and lo and behold, there's 6 Series 2 blasters. So I swoop them up. I don't have a cart, and it's not like you can't carry 6 blasters, but it's a little. And I think I had
look ridiculous.
My hand too. I look ridiculous. And then, of course, like the self checkout was on the other end of the store, so I'm like this like 40-some-year-old dude, like trying to like juggle 6 blasters all the way throughout the store, looking like a complete idiot. But then, like any good hobby friend, so I swipe them. I'm out. They're mine. But like any good hobby friend, Troy, got to bring 3 to you. So I immediately drive to your house and drop them off. Get back into the car to go home. And this is where it's just like, I become like a 4-year-old, of course. I live, 4 minutes from your house? Can I wait to open my blasters? No. I sit there in your driveway like an idiot. Now, mind you, Troy's wife is like in the home office, like with a big picture window, like probably staring at me. And I'm thinking whatever shred of respect might be left that she might have is probably gone. Because I'm sitting here literally in your driveway, opening my blasters, chasing Betsy. Gotta get my Betsy, Troy. Gotta get him. And then the best part is I'm about into like maybe halfway through, a little bit less, and my phone rings and it's you, and you start walking me through a play-by-play of every pack.
I didn't even know you're in our driveway still.
Yeah, that you're opening, right? So yeah, sure, we come on the show and we're like, be patient, wait, resist FOMO, and I'm like a hockey card crackhead in my car, opening up my blasters. Now, did we hit any Bedard Young Guns? No.
Nope.
But here's the thing that I came away with though is, so I got 3 blasters, right? And in total, I got 6 base Young Guns.
Yep.
And the blasters were like regular retail prices. I know like hobby shops and some people are trying to get a lot of money. They're $25 a piece.
Yeah.
Okay. So that means I paid on average $12.50 for a base Young Guns. If you compare that to a hobby box at $300 US plus, it's like $50 to $60 per base Young Guns. Of course, the difference is in retail, you don't get the Outburst 101. You're not going to be a millionaire. You're not going to get a high gloss. You're not going to get an Outburst Red and sell it on Slab Sharks and keep 98% of the profit. But if you just kind of want a Bedard Young Guns, it's not a bad way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's way cheaper comparatively from a base Young Gun perspective than buying hobby. So that's kind of what got me back into retail. And yeah, we can't even take our own advice. Okay, Troy. Time for our PWCC Weekly Preview. PWCC is a Gong Show partner and sponsor. Of course, we're very thankful to them for their support of our show. The PWCC Premier Auction ends tonight. Log on to pwccmarketplace.com. Place your bids. You can have a chance to own one of 3 amazing hockey cards in the Premier Auction. In addition to the Premier, the current PWCC Weekly is live as well, ends this upcoming Sunday night. And a reminder that Jeremy Lee and I host a weekly PWCC Hockey Auction Watch Party on Jeremy Lee's YouTube channel, Sports Cards Live. Starts at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. What we do, Troy, is we cover all the key hockey cards ending in the auction. Have a good time with everyone in the chat as well. Certainly hope to see you all there. That being said, it's Thursday, and each Thursday we pick out our favorite vintage and modern cards, the current PWCC Weekly to highlight. Like we always do, we're going to start with our favoritist. That's not a word. We're going to use it anyways. Vintage cards. First one I picked, Troy, is a tall boy. 1964 Topps Jean Beliveau, PSA 7. In my humble opinion, Troy, Jean Beliveau is maybe one of the coolest names. I actually like saying it.
Yeah,
I was trying to think, well, why do I like saying it? It's a French name that I think both of you and I can pronounce, so that might have something to do with it.
Yes.
It's like, have you met my friend Jean Beliveau? It's kind of like a James Bond kind of feel to it. So not only did Jean win the name game, he's also a legendary hockey player, of course. Some people get it all, I guess, Troy. This 1964 Topps is not a rookie. Beliveau's rookie card was the 1953-54 set. He had played a couple games starting in 1951, but really in earnest made it to the NHL in that 53-54 season, or established himself in the NHL. He would play till 1970-71. So almost 20 or about 20-year career, parts of seasons, I guess. Beliveau played every NHL game with the Montreal Canadiens. 1,125 in total. Finishes his career, Troy, 507 goals, 712 assists for 1,219 points. Beliveau was the 4th player in league history to reach 500 goals. Second player ever to reach 1,000 points. He won the Art Ross Trophy once, Conn Smythe once. He was the inaugural Conn Smythe winner in 1965. 2-time Hart Trophy winner, yet only won the Stanley Cup 10 times as a player.
Yeah.
He's the opposite of the Connor McDavid problem.
Yeah, he's got every finger can have a championship ring.
I'm going to call Jean Beliveau a cup hog, Troy, because apparently it wasn't enough to win 10 times as a player, he had to add his name 7 more times as an executive to be on the Stanley Cup 17 times. Cup hog. In the 1964 Topps cards are tall boys. They have that distinctive yellow background. I looked at the card pretty closely. It's got really good eye appeal.
Yeah.
Center, you expect these to be, centering is really good. I don't know exactly why it got a PSA 7. The corners and the edges seem a little rough in cases. Yeah. Also, in his name, there's at the bottom, there's some like print defects.
Oh, right there, yeah.
But all in all, I think a nice card. One
sure.
that has that nice eye appeal. PSA 7 pop is 77. 53 copies have been graded higher. There's one PSA 7.5, 47 PSA 8s, 2 PSA 8.5s, and 3 PSA 9s, and all of 0 PSA 10s. Nice photo of Jean on the card. He's got a nice smile.
Looks happy.
Yeah, looks happy. Favorite part of this card, though, Troy. Can't wait to get your comments on this. Are his gloves.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Got to zoom in on those puppies.
My
great bark.
Yeah,
look like they weigh 50 pounds. It's kind of like, I feel like you could like swing a samurai sword at those things and they wouldn't go through.
Those are real leather, baby. I had a pair. I think my dad bought them when I was growing up, and because he would flood our backyard and make a little rink, and I had a pair of those I'd run out with when I was a little kid.
Weigh like 30 pounds, right? Pretty awesome. Last sale of a 1964 Topps Jean Beliveau PSA 7, $850. This past October, which was also the all-time high. You got a current bid, Troy?
$250.
Sweet. Well, speaking of Parkhurst, you got the next one.
Yep, I had to do it. It's kind of a throwback to because of the release of 2022-23 Parkhurst Champions. I actually went with a 51 Parkhurst. And again, love these cards. It's a nice tie-in, like I said. And this guy was someone I hadn't heard of before. So Victor Ivan Lynn. So I had to go with that. So I'm going to do start with the card, and then we'll look at Victor a little bit. So PSA 6. If you look at it, it's got some darkening. Let's just get that out of the way. You can tell right away. I've definitely seen brighter copies, but there's definitely some darkening. However, boy, you talk about centering. This thing looks really nice. Left to right looks pretty good. Top to bottom looks pretty good. And the edges and corners, you can zoom in. There's some edge wear on the top left here. Corners, obviously, there's going to be a little bit of wear, a little bit of rounding. But overall, if you can live with the darkening, I think this is a great looking card. Picture looks nice. And there's not a lot of print imperfections. You can see some red by the Bruins name. I'll zoom in. So you can see down here. You can see up here, probably the plate got a little messed or offline. You can see some red. But that's about it. Everything else looks really, really nice on this card. So definitely for PSA 6, this looks like a pretty nice copy. And this is something where I have no problem putting this card in my collection if I want it. We'll see what it goes for. But it looks really nice. Just the centering. If you're a centering snob, man, for PSA 6, this looks pretty good. Okay, so let's learn about our boy, Victor Ivan Lynn. Josh, he's from becoming one of our new favorites besides Guelph. So we got Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. So Victor Lynn, he's a 3-time Stanley Cup winner, played forward and D during his career. Played for the New York Rangers, Detroit Red Wings, Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs, Boston Bruins, and Chicago Blackhawks. More on that in a bit.
Okay, can I do a timeout here, though?
No. I know what you're
about...
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not. This
okay.
Is, weirder than even you could think I could come up. Where is Saskatoon? Saskatchewan. I feel like we should do a show from there. I really do.
Oh, it's
it's probably like 45 million miles away from here.
Yeah, I don't even actually know. I thought I did. I know where Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg, all those are, with those. Those like due north of us, so I have an idea.
We could do like a fan meet and greet there, and then like we're at like a church basement, and then like one guy shows up, and we're like, "Oh, hi, I'm Josh. This is Troy. You must be a fan of the show." And he's like, "I'm just here for the donut."
Yeah, I'm just here. All right. During his 11-season NHL career, Vic Lynn had 49 goals, 76 assists, 125 points in 327 NHL regular season games. In Toronto, Lynn joined Howie Meeker and Ted Kennedy to form the KLM line, but I also found references to this being called the Kid line, and I believe there's been other lines with the Kid line as well. So I'm just gonna leave it there. I didn't go digging to figure out which was which, but the trio played for 3 seasons and helped the Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup in 47, 48, and 49. Now to the teams, Josh. Vic Lynn, only NHL player in history to play for all original 6 NHL franchises. There you go.
That's wild.
That's
so even
wild.
Like today, nobody's played for the 6.
That's what. Okay, this is Wikipedia, but I actually did try to find more sources. Everything came back. It was only Vic Lynn. So I'm sure someone knows if it's not, and they'll tell me right away. All right.
You are the king of the fun facts. Like you pull, that's pretty amazing.
I love looking at fun facts. Maybe when I come back, we'll have special edition. Troy Fun. It's not even special edition. It's supposed to be a regular segment. All right. PSA 6 pop of this card is 35 with 91 copies graded higher. So there's kind of a lot of copies out there that are higher. Most recent sale of this card in a PSA 6 grade was on
the response.
Yeah. Most recent sales card in a PSA 6 grade was on December 13th of 2023 via eBay, verified in Terapeak for $117. The previous 2 sales to that one for the PSA 6 copy were 80. It was like $82. I want to say $89.
Okay.
Current bid on this card is $48. So, hey, if you want a 51 Parky of a pretty unique player, he's got a cool fun fact, it's probably going to be fairly affordable.
Card looks nice.
Yeah.
Played for every team. Only player ever.
Original 6 team.
Last vintage card probably isn't one, but I'm going to cheat.
Got a sheet, put it in there.
It's our show, Troy. We get to make up the rules, right? It's a 1999 Upper Deck buybacks, but it is a 1991. So it's like the second part is more vintage than the first part.
Yeah.
It's a 1999 Upper Deck buybacks, Wayne Gretzky, 91-92 Upper Deck auto out of 500. So it's these buyback cards. It is actually a 91-92 Upper Deck card that Upper Deck reacquires. Then they usually do something like add the player's auto and number it to make it a unique buyback card. I think one of these came up not too long ago on our show, whether it be like one of our auction partners or something like that. And I distinctly remember a bunch of people expressing how much they like it. And I definitely am a fan too. So made me want to dig into it a little bit more. To me, Troy, it kind of checks all the, we're 90s kids, right? Those nostalgia boxes. You got the 91-92 set, very unique, like triple vision Gretzky card. Right, that I think most collectors of our age would recognize. The card, though, itself is pretty common, right? So that's not what makes it unique. It's sort of the buyback element where they get it back, Wayne autographs it, and then it's numbered out of 500, so it's a little bit more rare. Because, again, the regular card is not rare of itself. Even though it's only a pop 202, it's also like $35 US. Now, what's crazy, though, about this card is that if you look at the original version, it's almost like the card was designed to be autographed.
Yeah, with the white down here.
Yeah, because like basically from the knee down, they sort of whited out the bottom of the card, which provides a great space for Wayne to add his autograph. Then you throw in hand numbering, which to me is like the bee's knees, but I know it's not for everybody.
Do you think they kicked themselves with this reflection to the right of Gretzky when they saw the card? They're like, oh.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, back.
So it's just a kind of a cool card. And then the card itself is actually in pretty good condition. I don't know if it's centered perfectly, but it's pretty close, I think. The corners and edges look fine. There's nothing about the condition that's going to make you probably not want to get this particular copy if you're a fan of this card. And the card is raw. It does come with the NBA authentication, which is a really nice feature that we probably should talk about more that PWCC offers. Because even though it's raw, it's authentic. You know that it's not a fake card. They do like heat maps and stuff to help you identify maybe some potential condition issues on the card. So, the bottom line is PWCC wants you to know exactly what you're getting, which I think is a great element of the service that they provide. So again, you got to go check out the card for yourself, like PWCCmarketplace.com, and see if it kind of meets the condition criteria that you're looking for. I don't know. Are you a fan of this card? Do you like it?
I am. I have a copy right behind me on my shelf.
But like, would you like, if you were in the market for a Gretzky auto? And that's the thing about Gretzky autos. There's like a million options.
Yeah.
Is this one that you'd consider, or no?
Probably not. I'd probably go after. I'd still.
You'd want a stature auto. No,
that's exactly gonna say. I still want that blue stature. That's the one I'm kicking myself over. So
I like this because of the nostalgia. Because this is a card that we opened in the packs, and so that's why it speaks to me from that perspective. And it's not super expensive either, right? So it's probably because it's out of 500 and it's not like super limited. But last sale of a 1999 Upper Deck buybacks, Wayne Gretzky 9192 Upper Deck auto out of 500 raw. 290.
Yep.
On January US dollars on January 29th. It was also the all-time high. Current bid though, I just saw there, Troy. What is it?
195 US dollars.
Yeah, so it's creeping up there already.
Yeah.
This one might get spendy. Awesome card though. All right, we're gonna transition to our 3 favorite modern. And the first one is kind of shocking that it's in the weekly a little bit.
Yeah.
Does this not feel like a huge card? It's a 2013-14 Upper Deck Nathan McKinnon Young Guns High Gloss out of 10. BGS 9.5 Gem Mint. That's a big card, right?
Very big card. But again, McKinnon getting no love, I guess.
No. So if you had to guess, Troy, how many times has one of these McKinnon Young Guns High Gloss sold publicly?
Oh, I would guess once or twice. Like, it's got to be
twice.
Low. Twice.
So a Ross one sold for $2,500 US in September 2022, and then there's another Ross sale for $760 US in November 2013.
Goodbye.
Well, it was probably a lot in 2013 when it came out. Yeah, this has got to be a borderline premier auction versus weekly, but it is cool that it's in the weekly. As you mentioned, Troy, there's not traditionally been a huge chase for McKinnon, where you see kind of anywhere near like the prices maybe that you'd expect for like McDavid, Sid, or Ovi. If you had to, I might compare like his secondary market values more to like Austin Matthews or McCarr, something like that. Maybe that would be the closest comparison. But all that being said, though, we're literally at like Apex McKinnon right now.
I got to interrupt you. This is ridiculous. I looked up what's so it was bought for $760 US. I want to know what it was in 2023 dollars. Good old Google, they have their experimental generative AI. It tells me $760 US in 2013 is worth $982,424.82. No, Google, you are wrong. So I just thought that was funny.
So maybe computers are not taking over the world.
Maybe not
tomorrow as we. Well. Okay, I was just mentioning he's like this is like peak McKinnon.
Yeah,
unbelievable season, truly remarkable. Through 68 games played, 42 goals, 74 assists for 116 points. Is that good, Troy? Do you think?
Very good.
116 points, already a career high for McKinnon. 42 goals ties his career high, which was set last year. So he just needs one more goal to set a new career mark. Do you know, Troy, that Nathan McKinnon this season has at least 1 point in every Avalanche home game?
I knew it as of like 3 weeks ago. I think I heard that. Sarah read it on the NHL PR site, but I didn't know he kept it up. So that's crazy.
There's 9 home games left for the Avs this year. I think one is against the Wild. So, chalk that one up.
Chalk that one up.
McKinnon has a point in at least 59, or at least 1 point in 59 of 68 total Avalanche games this season too. Kind of feels like the year of McKinnon to me.
Yeah.
Talking about his sort of on-ice dominance. It's impossible to know in the moment if this truly is Apex McKinnon, but I think it's a good reminder to really appreciate what he's doing right now. Who knows? He might even be better next year.
Yeah.
I don't know, but he's kind of like in the peak of his prime, I guess. And so pretty awesome to see. In your opinion, is he as of today, the Hart Trophy winner?
I think so. Just overall, I think so.
Yeah.
I know Matthews is going to have more goals, but
Yeah.
And McDavid's McDavid, but
McKinnon's obviously a fantastic all-around player. But when most, I think, often you hear about his skill set is his lightning fast speed. So I found this great article actually from the Denver Post. Maybe it was from 3 weeks ago, a month ago, that really detailed the impact speed has on his game and points production. Here's a couple quotes, Troy, that maybe you'll find interesting. First from Jake Ottinger, Minnesota boy, from our hometown. Here's what he says about Nathan McKinnon. Terrifying. Dallas Stars goaltender Jake Ottinger said, "Yeah, it's terrifying. Him and Connor McDavid, they are like, do you know those things at the airport you can walk on, but they're moving? It looks like those two are skating on one of them. They just have that extra gear, and he's on a different planet right now." Another goalie of Minnesota connections, Cam Talbot, former Wild goalie. When he's coming at you 1 billion miles an hour and you see the D backing up and panicking a little bit, you know it's not a fun feeling for anybody. Los Angeles Kings goaltender Cam Talbot said, "I can't even imagine what the D-men are thinking coming back and trying to accept that much speed." What do you think about those quotes?
It's pretty much right on. And it's one thing, like if you watch, there's not a lot of guys when you watch a game on TV that are like, wow, that guy's fast. He's one of them. Every time I've watched him, he can just fly. Like him and McDavid, I'm sure there's other guys too, but they are just something else. McKinnon for sure.
I didn't go into it, but there's like a bunch of article, like kind of geeky analytics stuff you would have liked that talk about like the amount of times he's sustained like 22 miles an hour. This
NHL
year.
Edge, go there. Look at your analytics.
Well, now the card itself is amazing. BGS 9.5. The following subgrades: the centering's 9.5, edges 9.5, surface 9.5, and corners are a 9. I've always liked the Young Guns design for 2013. And then the high gloss treatment, like the branding treatment that Upper Deck did, is pretty. I just think that's not only a rare card, but a fantastic looking card.
So are high class like gold now though? Are they branded goldish? That looks silverish.
Yeah, that is silver. Maybe.
I don't know. I don't ask me. But
But you'd have to think though that this is like, if you are a McKinnon collector, and especially like a deep pockets one.
Oh yeah.
This is like what a top 5 card, right?
Yeah, and if you don't have it, it's not going to come up very often. Who knows when this will come up again?
Wow, I'm actually shy. I just saw what's the current bid? That surprised me. Maybe not.
6,500 US.
This has got to finish over 10, right?
I would think so.
Kudos to the seller and timing. If you had planned to get rid of it, maybe you wait right before the playoffs, but then there's always that, like he's literally at, like we said, Apex McKinnon.
Yeah.
So. Okay, Troy, you got the next one.
I do got the next one. I kind of went off the rails with this one.
Is it another like ridiculous art piece card?
No, it's a 2015. I'll bring it up for our YouTube viewers. Okay. 2015 Leaf Q autographs red Patrick Waugh auto out of 10. So if you watch on YouTube, you can see the picture. We'll talk about it. We'll get into it a little bit. And I chose this card. Obviously, I'm not familiar with the set at all. We aren't the biggest Leaf people. We do talk about them every once in a while. We're still upset about the Art of Hockey release, the new one where Manon Rhéaume was ridiculous.
Haunts me in my dreams.
Haunts me in my dreams because that picture was ridiculous. But I wanted to look at this card. Said I didn't know. It's a Hall of Fame goalie. He's a GOAT, one of the greatest of all time. Plus, it has an auto. So it's kind of one of those where I started thinking, I'm like, this is where you can maybe get this for a pretty decent price, but we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Yeah. But I had to look at what exactly Leaf Q set is. I've never even heard of it. So I did some digging, and from Cardboard Connection, because their old stuff is still good. I don't know about the new stuff, if they're still, they decide to come back or what's going on. But the set is 2015 Leaf Q. It's a multi-sport set. So
do we know what Q stands for?
I don't. I didn't even look. I didn't see it when I was reading.
Hobby Mystery.
It's a multi-sport set, so kind of like Goodwin Champions or Allen and Ginter, I guess, is another one. Set focuses on autographs for top athletes across the sporting world. Every hobby box contains 5 autographs. Jeez. And the run of the set was limited to 399 cases. I dig that when there's like a case run. It's like, here's the run of cases. Get it or else it's gone. Some of the names included are Cristiano Ronaldo, Hank Aaron, Jack Eichel, Lionel Messi, Mike Tyson, Roger Federer, and Tom Brady. There are also some non-athletes. Chevy Chase has a card in this, and it was based on his dream sequence in Fletch, where he played for the Los Angeles Lakers. And Al Pacino also makes an appearance from his time as head coach, Tony D'Amato. Is that how I say it? D'Amato? In Any Given Sunday. So that's kind of cool. I always dig when they do stuff like that. I guess the previous set of this Leaf Q, they had a Ted Bundy. Some of the time. Al Bundy football card. Because on the show, Married with Children, he always talked about his high school football days. So they had a card in there.
I played high school football.
It's pretty good. Autographs can be regular autographs, autograph patches, pure autographs, and cut signatures. Another interesting card I just thought was fun to bring up. There's a dual cut autograph pairing Pete Rose with former MLB commissioner Bart Giamatti. That kind of cracks me up because Giamatti is the one who suspended or banned Rose from baseball for life. Like, that's pretty funny that they put a card of them together. And then they also had some bat relic stuff from Babe Ruth. So that's the whole set. One of those interesting multi-sport kind of things. Now look at the card.
Before you go on the card, can I do a gong show sideshow tangent here? Because you just totally put something in my head. You mentioned Al Bundy and Married with Children.
Yeah.
You know how like sitcoms got away from like doing like intros and like songs? Is there anything
really short too? They're really short.
Yeah. Is there anything more brilliant than the start of Married with Children, where the fountain goes up and then the song starts right at the love and marriage?
Yeah.
I know the beginning.
I remember the song in the beginning. I don't remember what the whole intro even was. When you say fountain, my mind goes right to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where they have the
Friends
or the orchestra or Friends. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the whole fountain thing?
I don't know. It's probably something subconscious market research.
All right. Back to the project at hand.
Back to the card. Okay. Card is raw. It does have NBA authentication. Josh kind of explained what that was. The card, as I mentioned, the title, specifically a 2015 Leaf Q autographs red out of 10. If you zoom in on it, you can see there's definitely some corner issues, like some wear. Yeah. Again, cards that have color and black sometimes get some chipping. You can definitely see it at the bottom right if I zoom in even farther. So yeah, you can see some whitening there, some chipping, the edges all along, but nothing too egregious. Just be aware of it, that it's there. Card's numbered 5 out of 10. Has a nice auto placement, nice spot for it, nice white spot to put it on. Picture on the front is pretty nice. It took me a second. I mean, I don't know why I didn't see the big avalanche. Logo's missing. So it's an unlicensed card.
Yeah.
Not ever. I mean, rarely do you see a shot like this where it actually, I don't think it looks that bad. It's again, for who it is and what this card is probably going to go for, I think most people can live with it. But obviously, NHL legend. The autograph, there's a little spots where the pen looked like it was either run out of ink or came up, but it's still pretty good. It's a Patrick Waugh auto.
Do you like Patrick's signature? Like, are you a fan of just?
Yeah, I like it. It's unique. I can tell immediately who it is. And again, I think it's a nice looking card, and it's going to be a cheaper card. And that's why I keep thinking about with this card. If you're, don't have a lot of money to throw around at all these autograph cards and you want to get a legend or a Hall of Famer, this might be one. Also, if you're one of these kids that doesn't have a lot of money and you want to get into hockey and get an auto of a great, this might be a card you go for. I mean, it might be expensive for a kid, but some of these kids we see running around at card shows have more money than we do. So I think it's a great card from that perspective. Last sale of this exact card, actually not the exact card because it's not even graded, but the last sales card was on January 11th, 2024 for $70 via eBay and verified in Therapy. Current bid right now is $21. So hopefully,
very cheap, kind of cool. Patrick Waugh auto, right?
Yep. If you can get it for under 100, score.
Last card we're going to talk about, I think another huge modern hockey card.
Actually, sorry, I'm an idiot. It was this exact card because it was numbered 5 out of 10.
Oh yeah, I was going to mention that, but
there we go. Oh, you.
I don't want to hurt your feelings on your last show.
I never get hurt. I never get hurt. No, I'm good. There we go. Right.
As I was saying, last card, 2005-06, Upper Deck Ice. Alexander Ovechkin Ice Premieres out of 99, BGS 10 Pristine. Like I said, Trey, another really big card.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to the Hockey Oracle, Jeremy Lee, about these cards, the Ice Premieres, and yeah, I think they're still really a big deal. According to him, though, like they were even maybe slightly more significant, maybe back in the day, like when they came out. And now that there's just more options, that maybe their significance is waning a little bit. I think I went back and I looked at TCDB, and there's 338 Ovechkin rookie cards that were produced in 2005-06, right? So you compare that to like we expect over 1,000 for our boy Bedsy. You can see like a card like this maybe was pretty significant. So again, you have the McKinnon High Gloss. There's a number of like, and we haven't mentioned this yet. There's like huge cards in this week's PWCC Weekly. Like go to PWCCmarketplace.com and check them out. And then of course the icing on the cake is it's out of 99. It's got that BGS 10 pristine factor that of course will capture just about everyone's attention. It's not a black label because to be a black label, it's got to have all 10 subgrades. There's one 9.5, which I think is surface here. What is interesting, though, is that it's not like super rare. There's more maybe BGS 10s than you would assume. 71 of them have been graded at Beckett. So, I mean, then that tells you, too, like, geez, back in, 20 years ago, how much big of a deal Beckett was, where 71 of the 99 were graded at one point by Beckett. There's 6 BGS 9s, 36 Troy BGS 9.5s, and 28 BGS 10s. So like 30% ish of all copies are and then there's one BGS 10 black label. Again, they're not ridiculously rare, but that being said, any card in a BGS 10 holder is going to, like you said, get people looking at it. Ice Premieres are acetate cards, so that kind of has to be your jam, I think, for this one to appeal to you. A pretty kind of iconic design, given that it's the Sid and OV rookie year. It's got like a circular background that's flowy, conveys movement. So I had this kind of funny moment last night where I'm trying to like describe hockey cards, and in my sick and demented and weird brain, it's like you feel kind of like weird at times, and it's like, there's like the whole like art piece kind of thing, and I started to think it's like, well, like how would like a snooty sort of art critic in like a big like New York museum describe a hockey card like this? So I'm gonna give it a shot. I gotta kind of get into, if I'm gonna pull this off, I gotta get into paragraph or to character here a little bit, Troy. Because I think when people think about me, that's very much art critic. It's probably the first thing that comes to mind. Okay, so here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Josh, the world famous art critic, describing a 2005-06 Upper Deck Ice Alexander Ovechkin Ice Premieres out of 99. The Alexander Ovechkin Ice Premieres on a 99 rookie card of 2005, a veritable objet d'art within the realm of sports memorabilia. Allow me to elucidate upon this piece with the finesse of a connoisseur navigating the halls of the Louvre. In this masterpiece of lithographic design, one beholds the visage of Ovechkin poised upon the ice with an aura of effortless grace and boundless potential. His form, rendered with meticulous detail, exudes a sense of kinetic energy frozen in time, capturing the very essence of his athletic prowess. But it is not merely the subject that commands attention. It is the composition itself that elevates this card to the echelons of aesthetic significance. The interplay of light and shadow, expertly manipulated by the skilled hands of the illustrator, imbues the scene with a dynamic vitality that transcends the two-dimensional plane.
Wee, man. Nice.
And seed. Okay, so you either believe I totally made that up myself or I used ChatGPT.
I was cracking up when you read that because that's honestly the first time ChatGPT's ever been used on our show, because
I know
it can't do like what we do. I was thinking about that actually when I saw that. That is what it's used for. I think the prompt was describe this ice card as a snooty art critic in French.
That's exactly said. I said describe the 2005-06 Alexander Ovechkin Ice Premieres on a 99 rookie card like a snooty art critic would. And what's amazing about what it came up with is it actually does describe the card in
it's pretty
the most ridiculous sense either. So
yeah, that was pretty funny when you told me that. I was reading it and I was like, oh, that's crazy. But yeah, first time
made
ever.
me think that it's like, it's like, how do you describe for the listening audience a card like this? So you kind of feel like, so if you guys want, let us know, and Snooty Art Critic might come back at a later date.
We'll do some more ChatGPT Snooty Art Critics
to describe more hockey cards. But I don't know, did that make you want the card or not? I mean, it kind of made me excited about it. Like, made it feel really significant.
I was just wondering, those are some big words. It was kind of nice to hear that hear that intellectual aspect on the show, I guess.
Yeah, it's the first time ever. Okay, Troy, last sale of a 2005-06 Upper Deck Ice Alexander Ovechkin Ice Premieres on a 99 BGS 10 was at $9,388 on November 13th of last year. All-time high as well for a BGS 10. Interestingly, though, all-time high for any copy, any of the 99 graded or raw, was a PSA 10 that sold for $12,477 in July 2021. Now, a different time, but it is weird to see PSA 10s even outselling BGS, because that's usually the one kind of last hold on the hobby that BGS has. Now, before you go into the current bid, because I just saw it here, and what's kind of interesting to me about what the current bid is I want to quickly go back and reference the Nathan McKinnon, where like the all-time high was like a couple $1,000 and it was like 6,500. And is this an indication of where the Ovi market's at? Because all-time high on this Ice Premier is, what do we say, $9,300? And what's the current bid?
So I have it as $525 US. I'm looking it up again though. I got to make sure I didn't just totally flub that one. So just give me one sec. And BGS 10, 500. Well, it went up since I looked at it, but I was right. So right now it's at $575 US.
Pretty low. There's no way it ends close to that, but yeah, you can tell though that McKinnon card is very special because there's people competing very early on it. Okay, personal pickups. We both got Parkhurst Champion boxes and opening, right? Is that
that was my personal pickup.
Okay. Well, Troy, any parting words for all your fans before you leave for 2 whole shows?
No, just it'll be sad. I'll be missing 2 shows, but I'll be back next one.
What are the odds that I blow it up in your app?
Maybe then I'll just you'll like force me into retirement.
You'll come back and I'll be like, hey, welcome back, man. Remember our show? Well,
we don't have it anymore.
You're going to be arrested and our show's gone. We'll do our best in your absence. Have a lot of fun. Can't wait to hear about it when you get back. That is our show. If you like the episode, please leave a rating, review on Apple, Spotify, whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, you want to support us, you want to chat with us on the Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server, it's kind of a cool place to be. Please consider a $5 a month donation. Join on a $1.99 support level tier on Patreon. Link is in the show description. It's in podcast apps or on YouTube. It's in our Instagram or TikTok profile. You go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, and click on the Become a Patron link, or you can go to Patreon's website, patreon.com, and just search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. We're a couple old guys on social media. Yeah, it's true. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And Troy, the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast is a production of Dollar Box Ventures, LLC. I will be back on Monday with Phil, the Loud Collector. We have lots planned, so can't wait to see you then.